York tonight. Blackhawks on a 3-game losing skid following a 3-0 loss to Nashville. College hoops, number 8 Fighting Illini embarrassed Northwestern 96-66 at the State Farm Center. The Illini had a 17-point lead at halftime. Marcus Domask poured in 32 in the win. Boo Buie 20 in the losing effort for the Cats. In other college basketball action, DePaul was crushed by number 4 UConn. Illinois State suffered a loss to Drake. UIC fell to Murray State 85-73. It's 5:08. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
Recent events have reminded us how fragile the stock market and your life savings can be. What would happen to you if you lost 30, 40, 50% or more in the market? It could likely destroy your quality of life and impact your plans for the future. Let this be a wake-up call to sit down and review your financial situation. Take control of your future today and call Wealth Management Group 833-WMG-PLAN or visit investwithwmg.com. All investing involves risk, including loss of principal. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. The Biden administration, European leaders, and the UN want Israel to halt its operations in Gaza. Few among these supposed allies grasp how Hamas's October 7 massacres changed all of the calculations for Israel and its mission to defend its Jewish homeland. The Israelis, however, have not miscalculated this moment. This week, they delivered on Benjamin Netanyahu's promise to destroy Hamas to the last man in a drone strike on the group's Beirut offices. The strike killed Ismail Haniyeh's chief deputy, Saleh al-Aruri, along with 5 others in the Hamas office. This followed an absurd set of demands from Haniyeh regarding hostage negotiations that demanded thousands of prisoners released as well as an IDF withdrawal from Gaza. This sends a direct message to Hamas that their time has run out. It should also send a message to the Biden administration about the folly of deals with terrorists bent on genocide. The Israelis will no longer play by Hamas's rules or Biden's. I'm Ed Morrissey.
Are you tired of going online every day and getting news meant to make you afraid? Or meaningless celebrity gossip fighting for your attention? Want something different? Something positive? Make your new homepage Christianity.com with daily devotionals, answers to life's tough questions, and meaningful Bible study from favorite pastors and authors on today's current events and issues. Now you have a homepage that reflects your life and your faith. Join the thousands of others who have joined Christianity.com and experience the difference that good news can make in your life.
5:11. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. It is a service of Lowe's. Shop the closeout event now at Lowe's. Get up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, save an extra $100 when you spend $999 or more on all major appliances. Valid 1/4 to 1/24 while supplies last. Selection varies by location at Lowe's.com. Des Plaines has an accident this morning. Toohey and Manheim. Bensonville, an IDOT salt truck involved in an accident. Irving Park, just east of Route 83. Also delays this morning as you roll on the Stevenson roadwork. 2 left lanes are blocked. They're beginning to pick it up outbound between Clarendon Hills Road and Lamont Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Steve Williams.
It will be a cloudy day. Our high today at 36. Flurries tonight under partly cloudy skies, low 26. And then sunny tomorrow, the high 35. Clear and cold tomorrow night, low 25. And then a cloudy day for Friday, the high at 37. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
At O'Hare, 32, 33 Midway, 31 Aurora, and 32 along the lakefront. Your next news update, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
Tune into Protect and Grow with Tim Stearns every Saturday at noon on AM 560 The Answer. Certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns holds weekly discussions of the financial challenges to a secure retirement. Learn about planning strategies and solutions that proactive investors utilize to help make continued progress toward retirement goals. Call with questions at 800-640-2256 or visit tjstearns.com. Protect and grow with Tim Stearns, Saturdays at noon, here on AM 560 The Answer.
This is Mark Curran. For over 30 years as a prosecutor and a sheriff, I've spent my entire career fighting for the injured and most vulnerable. And I continue those efforts now as a trial lawyer. Many of the lawyers I face in the courtroom today are on the side of the abortion industry, as well as many other intrinsic evils. Martindale-Hubbell, the agency that rates attorneys, has given me the highest rating for both ethics and ability. I'm a former county, state, and federal prosecutor, as well as a 3-term sheriff. I'm also the host of the popular program Cross-Examination on Catholic Radio. You want a trial lawyer with the highest credentials and ability who will not support the evil agenda destroying America, then call me at 847-721-3189 or go to markcurranlaw.com. That's Mark Curran, C-U-R-R-A-N, law.com.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Guevalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts: knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
Where can you go anytime, day or night, to hear full-length radio programs from favorites like John MacArthur, Greg Laurie, and Chuck Swindoll? The new OnePlace.com. Where can you get free devotionals, podcasts, and articles on issues like marriage and parenting, politics and current events, and Christian living for men and women? The new OnePlace.com. Your favorite Christian teachers, online and on mobile at OnePlace.com. OnePlace.com.
Don't miss the new movie by Dinesh D'Souza, Police State.
We have freedom of religion and freedom of speech! MAGA Republicans threaten the very foundation of our republic.
Are we becoming a police state?
The government is trying to crush the conservative movement, our society, and our freedoms.
They define you as radical.
How did we give the state this kind of power? If they're coming for me, they're coming for you.
Police State. Buy it or stream it now at salemnow.com. salemnow.com.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment brought to you by Unleash Your Wealth with Raj Shah and Rick Borick this Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. Learn more at scwealthadvisors.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Cause they got the beat, the campus beat, the campus beat. Yeah, the campus beat.
Dan and Amy, top of the morning. We have to start with a very special campus beat because the president of the highest of status schools in the Western world was deposed yesterday. Claudine Gay did not survive a combination of the comments she made before a House committee about anti-Semitism on the campus of Harvard, combined with pretty serious and substantial and persuasive allegations that much of her academic career has been punctuated by plagiarizing the work of others, including our friend Carol Swain, who we talked to before the break about said plagiarism.
It was
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
Yeah, it was 50 allegations of plagiarism. And she's hit the shortest presidency in Harvard's history. She only lasted 6 months.
Yeah.
You'll have the shortest executive career since that Pope that got poisoned.
And she did. She had the shortest executive career since that Pope who got poisoned.
Oh, that's great.
Even shorter than John Paul I, who I believe Oliver Stone was referencing in Wall Street, but I digress. Here is on the plagiarism. This was fun. Of course, you have to recast these things. Mark Egan is some flunky newsreader, mouth-breathing newsreader for CNN. He had this to say about her plagiarism, alleged.
These plagiarism allegations, where Claudine Gay has had to issue corrections, multiple corrections. Now, we should note that Claudine Gay has not been accused of stealing anyone's ideas in any of her writings. She's been accused of sort of more like copying other people's writings without attribution. So it's been more sloppy attribution than stealing anyone's ideas. But nonetheless, you put all of that together.
That's awesome.
It's a sloppy attribution. Plagiarism has been redefined a couple times over the last couple of weeks by the D.C. Press Corps in defense of Claudine Gay because she serves as a mascot for them. She's a black woman, so she's a mascot for the left, and that would obviously include the left's press corps, and that's outlets like CNN. So sloppy attribution is one euphemism for plagiarism, really replacing. Just like
defining, as we always do. That's the name of your high school band, right? Sloppy attribution.
And just like looting is a symbolic taking. Remember that classic from the summer of 2020? We had earlier, I noted a couple weeks back during Christmas break, duplicative language. It's not plagiarism. She used duplicative language. Right. She copied somebody else's work and didn't attribute it to them. That's sort of the textbook definition, or at least it used to be. I don't know. The implication of Claudine Gay's departure from Harvard, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. What do you think? Is this an important scalp for not just conservatives, but for striking a blow against the totalitarianism in the form of identitarianism that has taken hold at college campuses, and including and perhaps most pronouncedly in the Ivy League at places like Harvard?
Right. Well, she follows along suit with Liz McGill, who stepped down from University of Pennsylvania. But they're both still at the university. I mean, Claudine Gay, she can still teach there. She's not completely kicked out. Just like
that's what
Liz McGill.
That's what tenure does.
I know,
but the implication of removing them as presidents of those august universities, is there any implication of particular note?
Well,
is this important?
Is it important to Jewish students? Do they feel safer who go to Harvard, who go to University of Pennsylvania? I mean, because what they said was disgusting. And to think that President Obama, or former President Obama, privately lobbied on Gay's behalf. No comment from him either about her resigning.
Claudine Gay, an identitarian to the end, in her Fare Thee Well statement, she wrote, among other things, it's been distressing to have doubt cast on my commitments to confronting hate and to upholding scholarly rigor. Yes, distressing. Two bedrock values that are fundamental to who I am, and frightening to be subjected to personal attacks and threats fueled by racial animus. She's a victim of white supremacy.
Well, yeah, and Al Sharpton went along and, released a statement, of course, because that's what he does. He released a statement saying this is an attack on every black woman, Dan, in this country who's put a crack in the glass ceiling. It's an assault on the health, strength, and future of diversity, equity, and inclusion at a time when corporate America is trying to back out of billions of dollars in commitments.
So this was, when I saw this come across the wire yesterday, as it were, my immediate reaction is this is the academic version of a mob hit. It had just become too much of a burden. It's sort of like what we talked about with Ed Burke, the line from City Hall. Frank, we tried to close the door and we just couldn't get it shut. We tried to save you, Claudine, and we just couldn't do it. It's just too much. The combination of what occurred during that House hearing and your absurd statements about anti-Semitism and people advocating for the genocide of the Jews. And then Liz McGill doesn't survive at Penn. Then there's more focus on you. And then you have these nagging plagiarism allegations which continue to pile up. And then you have even otherwise leftists in good standing like those who are on the Harvard Corporation Board, not to mention the Harvard Honor Council, start to make noise. And we just couldn't do this anymore. By the way, it's worth noting this has an interesting Chicago connection too.
Oh, really?
Paul Finnegan is a tribal elder at Harvard. Paul Finnegan is the co-founder of Madison Dearborn Partners. He's one of these bipartisan combine guys who wants everybody to like him. He's a billionaire who is afraid to be cross with any of the powers that be as they come and go. And so he is one of those corporate chieftains that I often describe as being party to the city of Chicago's disintegration because they have no core. They have no leadership capacity outside of their universe of making money, and they have no willingness to really stand for things that are right and advance the flag even against the prevailing political winds in a place like Chicago. That's Paul Finnegan. Paul Finnegan, former treasurer there as well. Paul Finnegan was the one, I have it on pretty good authority, that was feeding information about what was going on in the board deliberations to Bill Ackman, another billionaire investor, who was, pounding Twitter calling for Claudine Gay's resignation. And that piece of it is important too. Oh, wow. The billionaire, the pressure from billionaires, even though Harvard is sort of insulated from any single billionaire or even any collection of billionaires because of their endowment and so forth. But that's all. It all goes to it, and it all go. And Finnegan is playing Game of Thrones inside the castle with outside players, essentially stoking the sort of environment that would ultimately lead to Claudine Gay being moved out.
And Gay's never published a book, and in 26 years, Dan, she's only written 11 articles. That's it. And according to Fox News, they say, Harvard, which is a hedge fund that happens to teach a few classes, from that $50 billion endowment, they said that she lost them $1 billion in 12 days.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing happened at Northwestern. You don't see Michael Schill going anywhere. It's bigger than that, so much bigger than that. And this palace intrigue is important, particularly when the the statement coming from the Harvard Corporation. The board said Tuesday it accepted Gay's resignation with sorrow. Commended her for withstanding the recent furor. So as they shivved her, then they expressed their, sadness over what has transpired, in part at their own hands. I mean, at their own hands in terms of selecting her in the first place, and then at their own hands in terms of moving her out of the way for the next identitarian up. My point of suggesting this was an academic mob hit, the academic version of a mob hit, is the rackets will stay the same, but we need somebody else in charge, a different face, to relieve some of the pressure and the scrutiny, and that's what's happening here, I believe.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us at 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
Mark's outside.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. This is a minor victory for the conservatives, but you pretty much answered the question. It's all about the money. They did lose $1 billion, and their enrollment in Harvard is down 20% for applications. So it is about the money. And she never met the credentials to become president there. It was all about, she checked the right box. That's it.
Thanks for the call, Mark. Heather McDonald has a good piece in City Journal, Onward with Inclusiveness, which essentially makes the same case. It's not about the money, actually. It's not about the money. And it's certainly not about, applications are down 20%. I mean, give me a break. Harvard accepts less than 5% of its applicants. Right. It's about status. It's about the brand. That's what it's about. It's about keeping up appearances. Look who we're talking about. People like Paul Finnegan, the billionaire cocktail party set. It is always about keeping up appearances, maintaining the prestige that comes with the cash they have earned, legitimately in some cases, quasi-legitimately through rent-seeking behavior in other cases, but regardless. That's what this is about. And if you don't understand the prestige piece of this, if you just play the whole, cliched follow the money, yeah, that's part of it, but you're missing the overlay. We've got head of state on the line. The Prime Minister of Ireland from Ogden, who winters in Ogden Dunes, Indiana, for some unknown reason. Prime Minister.
Oh, great to talk to you too. Boy, I really was so impressed with the Amish texter, Amy. You got to tell Dan about that. But I'm the Prime Minister of Ireland, and I'm here with a 2024 New Year's report. And I'm going to heal, Dan, the migrant migraine and help your listeners recover from that Senate hearing room conference table sex video debacle, the nude backbencher on all fires. Amy, did you hear about the two Irish homosexuals?
No. Tell me about them.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Michael Fitzpatrick and Patrick. Oh, my God. As you guys know, I'm trying to help mold Governor J.B. Lizzo from the nation's top political moneybags. He's number one, he's the richest, into a true statesman and eventually America's first president from Illinois since Abraham Lincoln. And
or Barack Obama, but okay. Yeah.
It has. You're right. I forgot about. By the way, Dan, how many presidents in America have been white? The answer: 46.5.
Yeah, right.
But I'm going to say that it has not been easy molding JB. He's not what you call a natural politician. At first, he got campaigning all backwards. He's lumbering around the county fairs. He's shaking babies, and he's kissing hands. I hate to say the Speaker of the House of Illinois. We got him to take the health pledge, in 2024. He will not eat at McDonald's. He'll do the drive-thru. And I'm not going to say JB is fat, but when he goes camping, the bears hide their food up in the trees.
All right. Do we have a comment on Claudine Gay before we have to get out of this segment?
Well,
Prime
I
Minister?
got one more point.
Okay.
We got the great man focused on what the voters want in Illinois with 3 big ideas. He's going to do a U-turn on the great exodus of all the income earners leaving Illinois, and we got the Magic Kingdom to help us, a consultant, to give Governor J.B. Lizzo an ability to lure back all these disaffected taxpayers who've left. And I got 3 quick ideas for you. And note, the first idea, we're going to have a dynamic new motto. Illinois, the S is silent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We're going to have to leave it at 1. All right, coming up at 5:38, we'll take a cleansing breath from the Irish PM and return to Chicago and Cook County. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, who's an ally of BLM Brandon and vice versa, has given us a new understanding of how these big city mayors, like our very own BLM Brandon, understand crime committed by migrants in their cities. That's at 5:38.
And later, emergency crisis meetings in a number of suburbs last night over migrants being dropped off at metro stations. They all have new plans to stop them from coming to their hood. But now let's head into that newsroom. Without further ado, here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
5:34, Harvard University President Claudine Gay resigning, announcing her decision Tuesday in a message to the Harvard community. New York Republican Elise Stefanik is cheering the resignation of Gay.
We have seen a failure of leadership from Claudine Gay, a failure of moral leadership, but also a failure of academic integrity.
Gay's tenure is now the shortest in school history. There's speculation that Tuesday's killing of a top Hamas leader is the first in a campaign to wipe out more top leaders of the Palestinian terror group. Saleh al-Aruri was killed in a suspected Israeli drone strike in a Beirut suburb. Federal appeals court ruling that Texas can ban abortions even in medical emergencies. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruling against the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services order. A list of over 170 names connected to Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking conspiracy could be released by a Manhattan judge any day now. Chicago firefighter is charged with attempted murder in a shooting in the Andersonville neighborhood on New Year's Eve. Omayayo Kasim also faces counts of aggravated battery and aggravated discharge of a firearm. City of Rockford saw over 350 migrants arrive on New Year's Eve. Those who arrived in Rockford were ushered onto buses and sent directly to Chicago. State Senator Andrew Chesney says police did the right thing.
We don't want this. We don't want our resources being taken up by these asylum seekers and non-citizens and fill in the blank. We don't want this. And so I think that you're seeing this tide turn.
Governor Pritzker has mandated over $500 million taxpayer dollars be spent on migrants in 2023 alone. The village of Hinsdale is clamping down on the arrival of migrants.
We've recently been advised by a bus driver that unless we do something, these buses will keep coming, unannounced, at least through March.
Village President Tom Cawley last night. Woodstock, Buffalo Grove, and Joliet also took some official action. 76ers beat the Bulls 110-97 last night, while the Blackhawks were blanked by Nashville, and the Fighting Illini embarrassed Northwestern 96-66. Chris Collins says his Cats were outclassed.
Obviously, tonight was a very tough night for us. Give Illinois a lot of credit. I thought we ran into a buzzsaw tonight. That was a butt kicking, in every sense of the word. I just thought they threw the first punch, the second punch, the third punch.
Marcus Domask poured in 32 in the Illini victory. The news service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges. Join today, 560theanswer.com/join. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app. SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
When you're in the market to buy or sell a home, commercial property, or even vacant land, let attorney Susan J. Kim step in. She's reliable, responsive, personable, and extremely thorough when helping you deal with an otherwise stressful transaction. Attorney Kim leads with her values and is committed to providing legal services with excellence. To contact Attorney Kim, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com. Whether it's drafting agreements, negotiating contract terms, or closing on a property, Attorney Susan J. Kim can do it all. Over 10 years of experience and her wealth of knowledge tackling complicated legal negotiations and breaking them down into a smooth, easy-to-understand process is what she does best. So let Attorney Susan J. Kim step in. To schedule your legal consultation today, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com or call 847-906-3166. Susan J. Kim Attorney at Law is a state of Illinois licensed real estate attorney.
When you need to ship sensitive or large and heavy equipment, the DC Group in Elk Grove has the experience and expertise to handle the biggest and most complicated jobs. DC Export and Domestic Packing, Inc. was founded in 1974 by the husband and wife team of Dominic and Carol Cacciamiglio. Beginning in a building not much bigger than a 4-car garage, the company now boasts 2 Chicago area facilities totaling 100,000 square feet, plus a 45,000 square foot FTZ warehouse in Greenville, South Carolina. Through these facilities and their long-standing agents, they offer nationwide packing, crating, container, and flat rack loading unloading, as well as warehousing, all with heavy lift capabilities. Other products available include custom-made boxes, crates, skids, and corrosion control solutions. DC Transport was founded in 1991 to meet the growing needs of their customers and provide transportation services throughout North America. From container drayage to super heavy haul loads, DC Transport can help you move just about anything. Go to dcexport.com for more info and to get in touch. dcexport.com.
Hi, it's Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, and I want to talk to you about your unused basement rec rooms. We all had them back in the 60s and 70s with jukeboxes, pinballs, and slot machines, Coca-Cola signs, and even gas pumps. We all had a great time in those days, but fast forward, and I'll bet you haven't gone down there in years. That's where I can help by turning those items into cash through Donnelly Auctions. We have thousands of customers online eager to bid on your items, and it's easier than you might think. Just give me a call at 815-923-7000, and I'll make those items fit in your wallet. Look us up online at DonnellyAuctions.com to see all of the items that we can sell for you. Give me a call today at 815-923-7000, and don't forget to check out the Donnelly Auctions Hour Saturdays at 1 o'clock on AM 560. Subscribe and check out the podcast too. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's 5:40. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time will start on the Dan Ryan, where they're clearing a disabled vehicle right now. Inbound right at the Burns Circle this morning, and you've got delays in the express already between 35th and the Chinatown feeder. Bishop Ford already backing up 115th into the Ryan merge. Bensonville an accident, Irving Park, and Marshall. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Mostly cloudy today, high 36. Tonight, partly cloudy with a couple of flurries and a low of 26. 32 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by CharlesEquipment.com, keeping you powered up no matter what the conditions. CharlesEquipment.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. America First with Sebastian Gorka, weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, all of this movement about the country, migrants everywhere, and
yes.
Not an awful to thank. Where are those awfuls coming forward, as we discussed yesterday? Where are those angry white leftist females and the male impersonators they married waddling forward in their activewear with their pea hats to claim victory for what is transpiring in Hinsdale and Downers Grove and West Chicago and Glen Ellen and Wheaton and the Collar counties, the other Collar counties as well, all over Chicagoland, where they just say, hurrah, we have achieved what we desired. This is why we pushed to make Illinois a sanctuary state, so that we could collectively welcome to our region any person from anywhere who wants to come into our country for any reason by any means. This is what victory looks like for the left, as far as I understand it. So I just am a little confused that there's not more celebration occurring. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
Well, Dan, let me tell you, Dan, all those lovely liberals have all said the same thing. They didn't get enough warning. They didn't have enough time. You know, they're dropped off at odd hours during the holiday season. You know, at Christmas, people are busy, Dan.
Well, I'm sorry. That's why you have government and the sanctuary city proclamation, the sanctuary state legislation.
Well,
I didn't see anything in there about you have to give us this much advance notice.
Well, last night in Hinsdale, the village president and the board unanimously decided they had an emergency meeting there in Buffalo Grove, in Joliet, in Woodstock, because this is a problem now. Because it's at their front door. They said bus companies have to give them a 5-day notice. This is just Hinsdale. And if they don't, a $750 fine per person will be enacted, and that they will impound the bus. Here is the village president of Hinsdale. Heary, heary.
These drop-offs started because Chicago, which is a sanctuary city, passed an ordinance restricting the flow of buses of migrants directly to the city from Texas.
So they have
No, they didn't. They started because Illinois is a sanctuary state. President Cawley of Hinsdale. That's not true. I mean, it may be true instead of, they're taking evasive action because Chicago's enforcing their bus ordinance. So now the villages are going to do the same. But the point is, you're all culpable parties. Every single one of these villages and their electorates are culpable parties. It is a sanctuary state, something that BLM Brandon has been reminding people for some time. And he's right. So again, I say, this is what you wanted. And President Cawley of Hinsdale, this is what your residents wanted. I know this from the election returns. I know this from how your residents vote. So don't tell me they don't want it. Instead of bitching about the bus drop-offs, you should be passing out applications. DHS has lots of them for residents of Hinsdale to sponsor a migrant. Isn't that what the president of Hinsdale and all of these village elders should be doing?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. But they don't want to get what they voted for. Here's a Hinsdale resident, a male.
I think overall it's something maybe what they had to do. It's a shame, but I don't see what else you can do if you're going to have tons of buses coming into the town.
They've had 450 migrants or illegals dropped off in the past week, and they're not happy about it. They changed their tune, and I don't understand why. It's like, this is your time to step up. This is your time to embrace what you've been supporting. This is your time to open your house, as you mentioned, Dan. Leave the Starbucks. Leave your yoga class early, namaste early, and go out there and grab some of the migrants that, oh, my God, they're wrapped in blankets. This is so cruel. Well, invite them into your home. Give them a hot cup of soup. Give them a room.
Why can't they use set up like a way station at the gym at Hinsdale Central where people can then come and because I mean I know the attitude of most of these awfuls. They can pick out the migrant that they want to take home for the kids.
Oh, honey, let's take that one. He might be tall, might be a good basketball player. And Hinsdale Central has so many gyms. I mean, they could use one of their gyms like they're using our gyms in the city. They can use one of their gyms in their park districts. Then why can't we spread the pain?
Why? What pain?
I mean, well,
this is opportunity. This is about teaching your kids to be global citizens. Go, honey, come down. We're going to take a ride, get in the Range Rover. We're going to go down to Hinsdale Central's gym, and we're going to pick out a migrant for you. Right?
Hinsdale Central's nice. I was there over the break. Ooh, it's a beautiful school. Wow.
Interesting what's happening, the chaos, though, the real world chaos. I know that these people in places like Hinsdale, Downers Grove, Glen Ellen don't live in the real world, and they haven't been forced to. And so I say again, for those in those communities that do live in the real world, if you're not willing to press the issue now, then you might as well just admit that you're never going to press the issue and you're just going to bide your time until rapture, or you can find a way out, I suppose, because I just don't understand in this moment when it is, talk about like policy consequences staring you right in the face. They're staring you right in the face in the terms of hundreds of people who've been dropped off into this sanctuary, into these sanctuary communities that are contained in this sanctuary state. And the response is what? To allow your local officials to spew this bilge like you're hearing from the village president of Hinsdale and all these other municipal officials, all this finger pointing. You're going to let them get away with this any more than you, well, not anymore. You're going to let them get away with this again. You're going to let them get away with the finger pointing again, just like you did during COVID. Are you going to do that? I mean, how many opportunities do people need to step up and really drive a discussion and drive some electoral accountability, to call people out, to use the tool that the left loves to use, and it seems to work so well, which is shame. But here, what do you think their signs are about? The hate has no home here and all their other ridiculous signage. It's all about shame and their moral superiority. And it works because it silences people. Are you going to stay silent? Do you still think they have the moral upper hand? Are you unwilling to make trouble in the neighborhood like you were at the school, like you were as a business owner? You know, I know most of our listeners are not in this camp, but you're in circles where most of your circles are in that camp. What an opportunity.
Confront your neighbors for the first time if you have never. And just say, I had to talk with my neighbor. He had no idea that we were giving them monthly stipends between $2,500 sometimes to $9,000, depending on the size of their family. No clue about anything. He's like, what's happening? I go, oh, and then they're taking up parking spaces at the 19th District because cars that were impounded that were never picked up, they're giving them to migrants.
The chaos this is creating. So what's going on in New York and New Jersey is sort of an example. This is what's going on right now as, this finger pointing and hot potato passing is happening in Chicagoland. So this is an ABC affiliate report there in New York talking about bus operators dealing with the same thing in New York, saying, don't come here, Eric Adams is going to fine you and impound your bus and so on and so forth. So they're dropping them off in Jersey. And then the Jersey towns, which is basically like suburbs, the suburbs of Chicago, the suburbs are Jersey. These are suburbs of New York, essentially. Well, listen to what one suburban mayor, Mayor Sam Joshi of Edison, New Jersey, had to say about it.
We know at least 12 buses from Texas and one from Louisiana have arrived at several train stations in Secaucus, Benwood, Edison, and Trenton. About 450 migrants have been dropped off recently, and they are getting on trains and heading into New York City. The mayor of Secaucus said in a statement, it's quite clear the bus operators are trying to find a way around the executive order, and that perhaps the boundaries that were put in place by Mayor Adams are too stringent and causing unintended consequences. Meanwhile, the mayor of Edison says he'll be taking steps to keep the migrants out of his town. He's instructed law enforcement to charter a bus to transport them back to the U.S.-Mexico border.
Edison Township police officers did not know if any of those 40 individuals were carrying weapons. They couldn't be identified. And that is a major problem. That's a major security risk. It's a health risk. And we're just not going to tolerate that.
Oh, my God.
So he's going to send them back, and then they'll be sent back and sent back, and I feel bad for these individuals, particularly the ones that are essentially economic migrants and were sold a bill of goods by our political ruling class and the their media, the political ruling class's media, come on over here. Everything's going to be fine. You'll be taken care of. It's land of milk and honey. We're going to provide everything you need. We're going to allow you to work right away. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then they're confronted with the real world cowardice of all of these press release politicians, aren't they? So I'm completely sympathetic to the migrants' position. I really am. I mean, except for, those who mean to do. Yeah, except for those who mean to do anybody harm. I am completely unsympathetic to the position of all of these local officials and these local communities and the local electorates who, again, it's just all navel-gazing sentimentality until it's in my living room. Until I have to be confronted with that, until I'm forced to think in real world terms, commonsensical terms, like that mayor of Edison, New Jersey. Wait a second. We don't know anything about these people.
They could be armed.
And so on and so forth. Yeah, all of the obvious questions that any sensible person would ask. But where were the sensible people electing sensible people in the last cycle, and the cycle before that, and the cycle before that, and before that, and before that?
Well, wasn't it Bruce Rauner who made us a sanctuary state?
It was.
Well, why are people forgetting that and blaming Pritzker?
Well,
Pritzker could stop it. Yeah,
he's the governor now. He's in his second term, and he cheerleads this.
Yeah, you're one of my right. I've seen it.
So yes, I mean the Republicans in Illinois are either complicit or AWOL as per usual. They're worthless. I concede the point. I'm not talking about the Republican Party, such as it isn't. I'm talking about you living in Hinsdale or Glen Ellen or Naperville doing something about it where you live in your neighborhood. All this like outsourcing, dominion over your life and your community to some politician. Well, how has that been going for you? Maybe try a different tack.
Got a great text message. Dan and Amy, I've noticed in Old Irving Park, most of the hate have no home signs have disappeared from front lawns.
Yeah, but you know who they are.
Right.
So my question is, when do you go over with your new friend from Venezuela and say, meet Mrs. Smith? She'd be happy to take you in.
Meet your new neighbors.
Provide addresses. They're standing in lines around the block waiting to renew their housing vouchers in New York City.
The concern is that people are coming in faster than we've normally seen. It's yet to be seen how much that will cost. What I can tell you is that the crisis up to this point has cost $3 billion. And as more people come, the cost continues to go up. The issue for New York is that they're not only dealing with newly arrived migrants, they're dealing with folks that have already been in New York City housing and are now being reticketed. So all of these folks already had free housing here in New York, and then they were given eviction notices, essentially 30 or 60-day notices telling them that they have to leave their shelter. But because this is a sanctuary city, housing is guaranteed. So if they wait in line, they can reapply and then be rehoused. And what you're seeing is this line which wraps around the corner, and it has been this long all day long.
And you think it's going to be any different in Chicago? That's exactly what's going to happen in Chicago. All this, announcing of 60 and 90-day eviction, terms, and then you're evicted and so on and so forth. What's happening in New York now? They're just a little bit ahead of us on the timeline. Is exactly how Chicago is going to deal with it. And so, time to step up. Vince in Geneva.
Hey guys, I wish the Republicans would learn how to fight. We should have a president of one of these villages in the outside suburbs working with Texas, bring the buses to the metro station, load them on there, give them free tickets, send them to Ogilvie Station, turn that into the biggest migrant camp on planet Earth. So all these rich liberals who go there, they get their $20 lattes from Starbucks and jump in an Uber, can see it right in their face. That's how we deal with this.
I sent them to Chicago. That's what they're doing. No. I want to see the courageous politician that says, I have some addresses for you in my community. You're welcome to, knock on the door and see if anybody will let you in. Or we'll do something like that. We'll stage them at a public place and we'll put a clarion call out to the community. Come over, fill out an application, take home a migrant family.
Well, there's a lot of rich liberals whose kids are at college and they've got these McMansions that they have rooms that they don't even use.
And again, I mean, to borrow from the infamous invocation of a Chicago resident at one of these migrant town hall meetings, could you imagine be considering an unwelcoming community? Could you imagine the stain of being called unwelcoming by somebody? Well, put that to the test in the leafy suburbs, too. George, Naperville.
Yes, maybe the reason the Allfolds aren't thrilled about these arrivals is because not enough migrants are requesting abortions.
All right, George, Mary Kay, Western Springs.
You know what? I could be really gracious and set an example for my neighbors and take a room in my house and find a nice family and give them not a family, but maybe a person, to live in my empty room. And then maybe my neighbors would step up. But you know what? They wouldn't. That's the thing. I'll see all my Hinsdale people this morning in my work, and I'm definitely going to talk about this. I'm definitely going to say stuff like, what do you think? What about these migrants? How did you see them on the news? Did you see them all over Facebook? There's nothing wrong with talking about it, and they hold that against me for some reason and don't want to patronize my business anymore. I don't want them there. I kind of don't. It's like you have to have a heart for these migrants, for sure. I have no sympathy for the people in Hinsdale who are sitting in that frickin' village meeting that they had last night, worried about their children. I know that they're talking about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why this
was packed.
Thanks for the call, Mary. That's why this is such a great moment, because you're seeing who the real barbarians are, and they're not the migrants coming from other countries. They're these overeducated dilettantes in places like Hinsdale. That's where the barbarians live. Jeff and Marengo.
Hello. This is Jeff. I was calling in reference to these municipalities passing all these regulations and rules and requiring permits. Isn't that against the Constitution and limiting the migration of the people in the country?
Well, thanks for the call, Jeff. They're not limiting people's movement. They're limiting the operations of a particular business. So that's how they, I would argue, get around what you're describing. But that's a fair question. All right, we'll continue this conversation because there's more angles to it that we need to discuss at 6:06.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
A Chicago firefighter is charged in a shooting. A child and 2 adults rescued from a vehicle that crashed into a Naperville pond. Number 8 Illinois dominates Northwestern, and the Blackhawks get blanked. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
2 Trump appeals. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. One to keep him on a ballot, the other to get him off the hook. Now, in that filing, the former president's lawyers are urging a federal appeals court to grant him presidential immunity in a Trump attempt to have the charges dropped in the federal 2020 election-related indictment. The Trump campaign also appealing to Maine Superior Court, trying to overturn the Secretary of State's decision to take the former president off Maine's primary ballot, similar to a Colorado court ruling that's on hold pending a Republican Party appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Some Democrats say Colorado and Maine got it right, that in the plain reading of the 14th Amendment, Trump disqualified himself from running again when he refused to accept his election loss. Other Democrats, like California Governor Gavin Newsom, say the former president should be defeated at the ballot box, not in a courtroom.
That's Fox's Rich Edson. Trump Republican challengers like Ron DeSantis also think he should stay on the ballots.
And I've been very clear about both of those decisions in those states. It's not consistent with the Constitution. I do expect them to get reversed.
The bribery case against Democratic Senator Bob Menendez has been bolstered, accusing Menendez of involving a member of Qatar's royal family to help a co-defendant.
The indictment does not add new charges, but does give new details, saying Menendez took cash and gold bars for facilitating that investment.
That's Fox's Gernal Scott. President Biden's back from his St. Croix vacation, and when he returned last night, he said Congress needs to give him more money to secure the border. Dozens of House Republicans will be in Eagle Pass, Texas today, including Mark Molinaro, who tells Fox.
It is sure utter chaos, and the president continues to ignore what is a national and humanitarian crisis at our southern border.
Last month, there was a record number of migrants encountered crossing the border illegally. As the war rages in Gaza, Israel is on high alert for a possible retaliation from Hezbollah militants in Lebanon, where an Israeli strike killed a senior Hamas leader. America's listening to Fox News.
6:02 and 31 degrees in Chicago. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Police say the shooting has left 2 women dead in Cicero. According to Cicero police, the deadly shooting happened in the 1800 block of South 48th Court around 7:45 p.m. and may have been domestic related. Chicago firefighter is charged with attempted murder in the shooting in the Andersonville neighborhood on New Year's Eve. Omateo Kasim also faces counts of aggravated battery and aggravated discharge of a firearm. Some Chicago area healthcare systems are trying to require masks for patients, visitors, and staff in certain settings. It includes Rush Health and Endeavor Health, which operates Swedish Hospital and 8 other healthcare facilities in the suburbs. It follows a rise in some respiratory viruses, mainly influenza and RSV. City of Rockford saw over 350 migrants arrive on New Year's Eve. Those who arrived in Rockford were quickly ushered onto buses and then sent to Chicago. State Senator Andrew Chesney says police in Rockford did the right thing.
We don't want this. We don't want our resources being taken up by these asylum seekers and non-citizens and fill in the blank. We don't want this. And so I think that you're seeing this tide turn.
Village of Hinsdale is also clamping down on the arrival of migrants at their metro station.
We've recently been advised by a bus driver that unless we do something, these buses will keep coming, unannounced, at least through March.
Village President Tom Cawley last night saying the village has approved new regulations. Other suburbs, including Woodstock, Buffalo Grove, and Joliet, also took official action. Chicago sports, 76ers crushed the Bulls 110-97 behind 31 from Joel Embiid. Nashville beat the Blackhawks 3-0. Number 8 Fighting Illini embarrassed Northwestern 96-66 at the State Farm Center last night. Marcus Domask poured in 32 in the Illini win. The news service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher doesn't find it difficult.
It is really strange to hear people say, gosh, Mike, good for you standing up against anti-Semitism. Gosh, Mike, this is really bold of you to defend the Jewish people. How can you not? It's not hard. This should not be difficult for anybody.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. The Biden administration, European leaders, and the UN want Israel to halt its operations in Gaza. Few among these supposed allies grasp how Hamas's October 7 massacres changed all of the calculations for Israel and its mission to defend its Jewish homeland. The Israelis, however, have not miscalculated this moment. This week, they delivered on Benjamin Netanyahu's promise to destroy Hamas to the last man in a drone strike on the group's Beirut offices. The strike killed Ismail Haniyeh's chief deputy, Saleh al-Aruri, along with 5 others in the Hamas office. This followed an absurd set of demands from Haniyeh regarding hostage negotiations that demanded thousands of prisoners released as well as an IDF withdrawal from Gaza. This sends a direct message to Hamas that their time has run out. It should also send a message to the Biden administration about the folly of deals with terrorists bent on genocide. The Israelis will no longer play by Hamas's rules or Biden's. I'm Ed Morrissey.
Markets are trembling. Don't be a casualty of economic upheaval. Do what I did and embrace the safety of gold. Talk to the experts at Noble Gold Investments today, and you can claim a free 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin. With gold at an all-time high, you need to jump on this. Just use the promo code GOLD. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com now.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
At Consumer Cellular, you get the same exact coverage as the largest carriers, but for up to half the cost. Same thing, up to half the cost. Up to half the cost for the same thing. 50% the money for 100% the same thing. I hope I'm making myself clear. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Half the cost savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single-line 5GB data plan with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single-line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plan offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement, with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune. Call now or you may forever lose your right to be awarded a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-299-7878. That's 800-299-7878. 800-299-7878.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Edens and Kennedy are off on time. The Ike right now jams up inbound between Manheim and Austin. The Stevenson, due to an earlier accident, tied up now between Kedzie and jamming into the Ryan merge this morning. Inbound Dan Ryan, right lane blocked due to an accident. It's inbound between I-57 and the Bishop Ford merge and 79th. Bishop Ford as well, jammed up between the Stony Island feeder and the Ryan merge. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
It will be a cloudy day. Our high today at 36. Flurries tonight under partly cloudy skies, low 26, and then sunny tomorrow, the high 35. Clear and cold tomorrow night, low 25, and then a cloudy day for Friday, the high at 37. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
32 at O'Hare, cloudy skies. Your next news update, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman. Listen Saturday mornings at 8. Learn more at willsave.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We're talking about the chaos that has been instigated, not by migrants, the chaos that has been instigated by sanctuary state and sanctuary city politicians and the electorates who elevated them time and again. And we ended the last hour essentially with this proposition, take your calls on, which is that great empathy is owed to peaceful economic migrants who are lured to the U.S. with false promises from our political ruling class and its media. And great scorn is owed to those sanctuary state and city politicians and the electorates who elevated them for preying on people's aspirations. Agree? Do we have consensus on that statement? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. What I'm advocating is that scorn be appropriately directed. Now. Because this is the sort of person you're dealing with. Listen to New York City Mayor Eric Adams address the issue of migrants who have come here and been delivered there, who've committed crimes, just as we have, of course, had in Chicago.
Do I believe that there are some migrants who are committing crimes in the city? Yes. Yes. There are people who are committing crimes in all walks of life. It's not just migrants and asylum seekers. I think that we have a number of migrants who have committed crimes. We have a number of non-migrants who have committed crime. And so I do not want to walk away with anyone saying that the GLA increase we saw in the city was just migrants. No, it's not. It was long-term New Yorkers who committed GLAs also. But are there some crimes that migrants have committed? Yes, there are. But remember what I said last week. You place a person in an environment where they can't work, can't provide for themselves, they have to just sit around all day. That's not a good scenario. That's not a good scenario. And that is what we need to focus on. What environment are we creating in these cities?
That's an astounding statement on a few different levels. Just an astounding statement. Wow. First of all, right, what kind of environment? I mean, talk about complete lack of self-awareness. What kind of environment are we creating? Says the mayor of a sanctuary state. And a proponent, a mayor of a sanctuary city, and a proponent of its sanctuary city status. And a proponent of all the sanctuary city policies attendant to that status. What kind of environment are we creating? He's asking in an open-ended fashion.
And he's a former cop.
Would you like to describe the environment that you've created? Well, we're not responsible. No, it's the federal government's fault.
No.
It's somebody else's fault. And then yes, some migrants are committing crimes, but also some indigenous New Yorkers are committing crimes. Yeah, no kidding. That false equivalence tells you a lot. It tells you that the mentality of the sanctuary city and state politician is that there's no difference between an American citizen and not an American citizen. And we see this playing out in real time because there's no difference between an American citizen and a non-citizen when it comes to welfare state benefits, for example. And so, I mean, is it starting to really penetrate? That's what I would encourage you to ask before, maybe as a predicate to the heaping of scorn within your circles of influence. Is it starting to get through the concrete between your ears? Yeah, I know indigenous New Yorkers, American citizens, some of them in New York City commit crimes. We're well aware of that. Yeah. The point is that you don't willy-nilly add to the population in such a way that it will increase the number of people in your community committing crimes. Is that too complicated? And one of the ways that you do that is by regulating who comes into this country. And if somebody comes into this country illegally, then as a state or local unit of government, you say, we're going to work with the federal government to enforce federal policy to protect our national security, rather than taking the opposite approach, which is what New York and Chicago and New York State and Illinois have chosen to do. Is it starting to get through? Are the synapses firing yet? Listen to Michelle Wu. And by the way, Brandon Johnson is making statements just like this that we played yesterday, all through the holiday. Reparations and restoration payments and shelters for and housing for ex-cons. We said yesterday we're going to have ex-con shelters. We got homeless shelters. We got migrant shelters.
It's ridiculous.
Michelle Wu,
mayor of Boston from Barrington.
Yeah, a product of Barrington High School and Harvard. The chick who, likes the people of color only Christmas parties because they're so inclusive.
Yes, that makes people feel real wanted. Yeah.
Here's Michelle Wu's philosophy, another sanctuary city advocate.
Every person, every human being has the legal right to come to the United States and seek asylum or shelter, and those policies have been in place for a long time. But when the review of that individual's particular situation and the then decision to allow the pathway to stay and or work authorization that comes along with that, when that process is so drawn out, people are stuck. They are looking to work, looking to contribute, looking to be in a safe democracy where they can raise their families. And we at the city level are now dealing with many of the impacts of the processes having people fall through the cracks at the federal level. So we're working very closely with the state. This is affecting municipalities across the Commonwealth to be able to triage the situation, create temporary housing so that families can get settled.
Everyone has a right to come here. Now, she said to apply for asylum. That's true, but here's what she really means, because this is what it translates into in the real world with the real policy choices that these sanctuary city, open borders politicians make. So, Mayor Wu, everyone has a right to come here to make an asylum application. Mm-hmm. So everyone has a right to come here to make an asylum application and then be allowed entrance in an open-ended fashion to the United States. Is that your position? Because that's the position of your party. That is what we're actually doing right now under this federal government. Is it not? Of course it is.
Yeah, but their court dates are 5 years out.
That's
another problem too. I'm like, somebody will come into this country illegal. They say, I show up in Charlotte, North Carolina in 2027 for your court hearing.
That's part of it. That's part of it. But the fundamental problem, and this is what they use to say, oh, we just need more resources to apply to adjudicate these asylum applications faster. No. You're mixing up the cart and the horse, the order of the cart and the horse. The first thing you need to do is say to asylum seekers, safe third country. You're not coming into this country while your asylum application is awaiting adjudication. So that is going to drive down the number of migrants, because what you don't think people know? You don't think people know? So I'm going to apply for asylum. In fact, a lot of people don't apply for asylum, as we well know, and they're still allowed in this country. But I'm going to apply for asylum. I'm going to come into and you got facilitators to do that. Some facilitators who are members of human trafficking rings and drug cartels, but I digress. And I'm going to come into the country, and then everybody's talking about how long the asylum application adjudication process is. Oh, it's going to be years before your court date, but I get to stay in this country. And, by the time I'm in this country for years on end, maybe I have a kid, maybe I get a job, so on and so forth. But after I'm in this country for 4, 6, 8, 10 years, then what are they going to say? The same people saying, oh, a right to asylum, the right to seek asylum, are going to be saying, oh my gosh, how can you deport somebody who's been a law-abiding, productive citizen for 4, 6, 8, 10 years here? We're not going to deport them. They don't want to deport them. This is a scam from beginning to end.
Yep.
And when Michelle Wu says, it's again the sentimental barbarians argument. Of course, seeking asylum, fleeing oppression and government. Well, first of all, that's a small percentage. Secondly, fine. Go ahead. If you truly are, then again, safe third country and you remain in Mexico. Or another safe third country pending the adjudication. But that's not what they mean. That's not what we're doing. It is open borders. What she is actually saying, and the signal that she and mayors and governors like her are saying is, come one, come all. We'll figure it out.
And I just love how they're all, biatch about, well, we didn't get enough warning, and you can only drop off, this is ancillary issue, but you can only drop off people from this time to this time. Well, those living along the border, they don't have any warning when migrants flow over. And one day they'll see 10,000, the next day maybe 7, but it's constant.
Wait a second.
Biden's got to shut down the frickin' border. That's what he has to do, and I know he won't.
It's not going to happen.
I know it won't.
So the drop off times and so on and so forth. Wait a second. You're the people can't be illegal crowd. The people can't be illegal, and you're going to get hung up on a technicality about scheduled drop off times at bus stations or train stations.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I mean, that village president in Hinsdale. We need a 5-day warning.
Yes, exactly.
We don't get a 5-day warning along the border.
Forget along the border. This is about you, Tom Cowley, and here Hinsdale residents. Forget about anybody else, because you always do. So let's just focus on you. Let's focus where you focus, just on you. You're better than that. You're better than that, aren't you, Hinsdale? To get hung up on a technicality like the time somebody's dropped off? You can't accommodate that with all of your resources, not to mention your bottomless reservoir of compassion and empathy for your fellow man. You can't accommodate a unscheduled drop-off of a few dozen people, or a drop-off that doesn't comport with the allowable times for bus drop-offs. Come on. You're better than that, aren't you, Hinsdale? You're not going to let yourself get away with that excuse, are you? Doug in Oak Lawn, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy. I was going to say, why don't they take the illegal immigrants and take them over to the Obama Library and set up camp over there, and maybe they can get some jobs over there and see how that goes.
Thanks for the call, Doug. Glenn, Racine, Wisconsin.
Yeah, why don't they go ahead and drop all of those immigrants off that are coming in at the aldermen's houses? Drop them off. How many aldermen have you got in Chicago?
50. Thanks for the call.
Way too many.
They're going to need more houses than that based on the inflow. Yeah, and I know there's some pushback coming from some aldermen about the repurposing of $90 million in COVID funds, and and the squashing of the effort to put the sanctuary city designation on the ballot come the spring. But the Tony Beals and the Ray Lopez's of the world. I like Ray, but you know what this is too. They're not in the club anymore. I didn't remember hearing them squawk about the sanctuary city or sanctuary state policies when they were enacted, or at any point before the migrants started arriving. Now they are.
Well, I don't think people knew, and don't yell at me, but I don't think
people knew.
We knew we were a sanctuary state and a sanctuary county and a city, blah, 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 but the ramifications of that and what it actually meant. This is, we're.
Oh my gosh! Well. I'm sure you're right. I'm sure people are terrible at connecting dots. But I'm sorry, that doesn't excuse anybody. But think about it this way: all these aldermen now preening and taking shots at Brandon Johnson, and you think, oh, these are the good guys. Some people do. This is the same old dance. Think about what Tony Beal and Ray Lopez had to say after Ed Burke was convicted over the holidays. A lot of praise for Ed Burke. Nary a crossword came from Tony Beal or Ray Lopez or most of the other alder humans or most of the rest of the gender fluid political ruling class in the state and the city. Why? Because guys like Tony Beal have been around for a long time. Tony Beal may be a black alderman, and he may be getting static from his constituents right now over this, the migrant shelters and so forth, benefits. But he was also a machine guy. He was part of the in crowd. Don't forget how cliquish politics is. Hollywood for ugly people or high school for ugly people, whatever metaphor you want to use. It's cliquish. When I'm part of the in crowd at the table, making the decisions, getting to wet my beak, everything's fine. And there are a lot of politicians, black, white, Latino, that benefited during the machine days. And now some of those politicians, black, white, Latino, are on the outs because they're not
progressives.
They're not rank and file Marxist apparatchiks.
Right, but they're upset that, they feel like Brandon Johnson's just being a dictator, and all of a sudden there's $95 million from COVID funds, and he's just going to spend it and give it to migrants, and there's no vote. That was their whole thing of, why can't we take a vote on this?
And all of a sudden, they're offended by a dictator.
Yeah, Scott Waguespack.
Was the mayor basically said, we want to avoid a vote on the city council, and to me, that is not appropriate. In the last administration with Lightfoot, we voted on everything. Every expenditure of ARP funding or any other CARES Act funding, we always had a vote.
Now there's a new leader in town.
And all of a sudden, they're aghast that the city is being run by the fifth floor. Please. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is Mark Curran. For over 30 years as a prosecutor and a sheriff, I've spent my entire career fighting for the injured and most vulnerable. And I continue those efforts now as a trial lawyer. Many of the lawyers I face in the courtroom today are on the side of the abortion industry, as well as many other intrinsic evils. Martindale-Hubbell, the agency that rates attorneys, has given me the highest rating for both ethics and ability. I'm a former county, state, and federal prosecutor, as well as a 3-term sheriff. I'm also the host of the popular program Cross-Examination on Catholic Radio. If you want a trial lawyer with the highest credentials and ability who will not support the evil agenda destroying America, then call me at 847-721-3189 or go to markcurranlaw.com. That's Mark Curran, C-U-R-R-A-N, law.com.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Structural foundation problems? Permaseal can help. Hi, I'm Roy Spencer, president of Permaseal. Last year's severe drought has homeowners across Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana experiencing symptoms of structural foundation issues. Cracked brickwork or caulking, uneven floors, new cracks in the drywall or ceiling, doors or windows that no longer open or shut properly, or basement walls that are leaning or bowing. All of these can be signs of a structural foundation issue. Too often we hear of homeowners paying for an expensive consultation just to determine the problem. Don't be one of them. Call Permaseal today at 800-421-SEAL. Our certified structural consultants will thoroughly evaluate your foundation and offer you a permanent solution at absolutely no charge. Life's frustrating enough. Let's fix what we can and avoid even bigger problems. Call Permaseal today, 800-421-7325, or visit permaseal.net.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, we'll talk racial politics on campus, particularly the campus in Cambridge, with Peter Wood from the National Association of Scholars, 6:36.
Yeah, he'll help us figure out what plagiarism is. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
6:31 outside, 32 degrees and cloudy skies. Investigators are focusing this morning on communication between air traffic control and 2 aircraft at a Tokyo airport after a large passenger plane and a Japanese Coast Guard aircraft collided on the runway, killing 5 in the Coast Guard plane. And Japanese rescue workers and canine units are urgently searching through rubble ahead of predicted bitter cold and heavy rain in what that country's prime minister called a race against time. After powerful earthquakes killed at least 65, dozens may be trapped, hundreds reported missing. Former President Donald Trump has filed an appeal in an attempt to get his name back on Maine's presidential primary ballot. Here's Mark Mayfield.
In the appeal, Trump called Secretary of State Shenna Bellows a biased decision-maker and claimed she didn't have the legal authority to remove him from the ballot. Trump's attorney said in the appeal that her ruling was a product of a process infected by bias and pervasive lack of due process. Bellows was targeted in a swatting incident, and she's received numerous threats since last week's announcement. She said neither politics or her personal views played a role in the move. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Harvard University President Claudine Gay is resigning. New York Representative Elise Stefanik said she had good reason for calling for the president, Claudine Gay's, resignation.
Abject failure in that congressional testimony and their failure to protect Jewish students.
This follows allegations of plagiarism and campus controversy. Gay's tenure is now the shortest in Harvard history. Police say a shooting that left 2 women dead in Cicero Tuesday night took place inside of a home. According to Cicero police, that home was at in the 1800 block of South 48th Court, and the gunfire broke out around 7:45 and may have been domestic related. Chicago firefighter is charged with attempted murder in a shooting in the Andersonville neighborhood on New Year's Eve. Mateo Kasim faces counts of aggravated battery and aggravated discharge of a firearm as well. 76ers beat the Bulls 110-97 last night, while the Blackhawks were blanked by Nashville 3-0. In college hoops, Fighting Illini embarrassed Northwestern 96-66 in Champaign. Also last night, DePaul was crushed by number 4 UConn. 6:34 is our time. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Sean Thompson Show.
Ruby Freeman and Shea Moss, they were seeking $43 million, but a court gave them $148 million in damage because she said she was afraid after Rudy Giuliani said there was wrongdoing at the election or that they purposely committed wrongdoing. We are not to question the most obvious election theft in American history.
The Sean Thompson Show, weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
You can make the decision right now to get lasting relief from that awful joint pain for 2024. Don't go another year compromising because of that pain in your knees or shoulder. Call QC Kinetics now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative non-surgical pain relief. You know, your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue, and QC Kinetics can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. The future of pain treatment has arrived. Hundreds of board-certified QC Kinetics providers have treated tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People with back pain, hip pain, any pain associated with arthritis or an injury. This is not a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again. So get your life back. And listen, it's non-surgical. So if this is the year you decide to fight back against that pain, take the first step now. Call QC Kinetics. Get a free consultation on the calendar today. Call 312-809-5955.
Man, you talk about hitting a grand slam, just feeling just incredible. And I mean, I haven't felt this great in years. I'm 52, and with these, wow. And I just appreciate, I'm impressed. I've never felt this great. I just want to say thank you to you guys.
Honey, I am like a different woman. I mean, finally one day I kept seeing that commercial and I said, what the heck? What do I got to lose? I started feeling a little bit better. So I got my sister on them. I got my daughter on them. I can't say enough about them. I really can't. Those commercials that you all do is the truth.
Step into the new year with a new you. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Is your old basement dragging you back in time? It's time to break free and embrace the future with Forever Remodeling. Whether you're yearning for a cozy family haven, a home office, the ultimate game night arena, or even a stunning new basement bathroom, Forever Remodeling has you covered. Don't let your basement linger in the past. Make it unforgettable. Contact Forever Remodeling today at 847-809-3355 or visit us online at foreverremodeling.com. We're your partners in crafting extraordinary stress-free basements.
Between the Consumer Price Index, inflation, and job reports, it feels like you need a PhD in economics to fully understand the economic news happening around us every day. That's why you need the Everyday Economics Podcast. Join host Chris Krug and economist Dr. Orphe Divounguy as they help you understand the economic world happening around you every day. Listen to the Everyday Economics Podcast at americastalking.com or wherever you get your podcast.
Make the hiring process work for you. With Indeed's end-to-end hiring solution, you can attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
6:37. And let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. It is a service of Progressive Insurance. They're making things even easier. They'll help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at Progressive.com or 800-PROGRESSIVE. Progressive.com, 800-PROGRESSIVE. Edens and Kennedy are off and on time. The Ike is not. 40 minutes now, 390 into the old post office and climbing. You're jammed inbound between 25th and Austin. Stevenson in 35 minutes inbound from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. You're jammed with brake lights Ashland into the Ryan merge. Ryan has an accident, right lane block inbound between the merge and 79th. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Mostly cloudy today, high 36. Tonight, partly cloudy with a couple of flurries and a low of 26. 32 at O'Hare and along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Shelby Steele and his son Eli, friends of the show, sat down for an interview with City Journal, product of the Manhattan Institute, to talk about race in America. And by the way, I did a podcast with Shelby Steele. He was on my Counterculture podcast, which you get at amgreatness.com, a couple months ago, talking about the same topic, generally speaking. But a couple of excerpts from this interview of the Steeles, Shelby in particular, that I think are particularly poignant and relevant to our conversation about Claudine Gay's demise at Harvard, and Harvard's demise more generally that will outlast Claudine Gay. Shelby Steele says, I was a liberal who grew up in a civil rights family. Everything was about civil rights. I grew up in that milieu, and my family knew people around the country involved in the movement. In high school, I was the president of the local civil rights group, just as King was peaking. From there, I went into the Black Power movement, looking for relevance in my generation. Cultural nationalism, Black Panthers, flew to Africa. I did a lot of really quote-unquote black things. I made the same mistakes my whole race made. I began to think that my identity was my power. It's taken me all these many years to understand the simple truth that you can't lift up people based on identity. Identity doesn't learn algebra and history and develop skills. You can satisfy identity by wearing an afro, which I did. And so he talks about in his book Dream Deferred, which is excellent, in addition to White Guilt and so many of others, but those would be at the top of my list for Steele. So he talks about, in Dream Deferred, I was scratching in that territory for the first time. For someone like me who grew up in segregation, to go against the black identity, I was seen as giving the back of my hand to black people. That's how many took it, and many still do. but he talks about the understanding of pitfall, the understanding of the pitfalls that being identity obsessed presents. And I mean, and I love that line. Identity doesn't learn algebra; it doesn't learn history. You do,
right,
or don't. One other thing he said, one other excerpt, talking about evil, and this is so timely. It's very banality of evil type of dissertation, Hannah Arendt. But it's so timely because it's about academia and identitarianism there. It's about what we've been discussing for the last hour, the chaos that has been generated through our open border policy and through sanctuary states and sanctuary cities. What does evil mean to you, Steele has asked. To me, it's one word: convenience. People defend things like affirmative action under the rationale of diversity, so we're going to lower standards for blacks and not admit as many Asians. Race is constantly used in the name of good in the act of committing racism. And we're saying such racism is inclusiveness. How insidious evil is. You're saying this person gets into school and this person doesn't because of the color of their skin, and that's diversity? That's inclusiveness? It's just a convenient way for you to get the innocence and moral authority that gives you power. This is the key. The innocence and moral authority. That's what people are searching for. I'm innocent. I have moral authority. I'm a good person. And I will take the path of least resistance to be able to access those descriptions so that I can inveigh on everything under the sun. That's what hate has no home here is. Back to Steele. It's just a convenient way for you to get the innocence and moral authority that gives you power. It's a hell of a problem in a huge, complex society like America. Evil is everywhere, waiting around the corner, advocating for itself as a moral convenience that will make you a better person. Evil fascinates me in that sense. It's always ironic. It's sweetly insidious. It makes you feel good and gives you that sense of innocence. I stood up against Shelby Steele, for example. So you become a cheerleader for evil, thinking you're helping. In the long run, we see evil for what it is, but it usually has done a lot of damage by that point. Indeed. So good. So on point. Peter Wood, National Association of Scholars, joins us now. Peter, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, isn't that those excerpts I read from Steele, and I know you're very familiar with him and his work. I mean, he just sticks the landing. That's exactly what we see manifest itself on college campuses and everywhere else in American culture where identitarianism rears its evil head.
Yeah, I think he nails it. The identitarian movement is one of trying to regain virginity or something. It isn't going to happen, but people grasp onto the notion that this is absolution for all their sins, real and imaginary, and they can feel moral superiority. That's what we've taught a generation is their highest value, to feel superior.
And the other thing, the fact his response to what is evil to you, and he just says in one word, convenience. And that's the thing that's maybe not emphasized enough, right? I mean, all we're always taught, nothing comes without hard work. But this is also lazy. It's just so convenient, and you should question something that comes to you this easily.
Well, it's a nice way to tie up why Claudine Gay was both a leader of the diversity, equity, and inclusion movement and a serial plagiarist. It was convenient just to copy down what other people had said and put her name on it. So the element of moral convenience is very strong in her case.
And it continued, and it, sorry to interrupt, but it continued right out the door, didn't it? In her fare thee well statement, she does the whole, I'm being under attack by those who hold racial animus against me.
Right, not the least whisper of contrition or idea that she was to be held responsible for anything. She's just a victim.
Yeah, but then they're trying to redefine what plagiarism is. You had Mark Egan, who is a reporter for CNN, called it sloppy attribution. What's your response?
Well, I mean, it's silly. Harvard's initial cover-up was that she had failed to adequately cite sources. Well, that's what plagiarism is, when you steal somebody else's words, put your name on it, maybe change a word here or two to try to make it look clean. But the fact is that this is an out-and-out act of dishonesty that harms the whole intellectual community, the people who count on the authority of a writer to use her own words and to present ideas that she's thought through. When you're stealing somebody else's language, you're not thinking anything through. You're simply being a human Xerox machine.
Right, and it seems like she was in part undone by other academics who took not too kindly to attempts to characterize Claudine Gay's plagiarism as duplicative language, or, as Amy mentioned, sloppy attribution, or the lack thereof, more accurately. And so when, Carol Swain is coming forward and other academics are coming forward as they're seeing the evidence presented and saying, well, wait a second, I can't be party to just turning a blind eye to this and still maintain any academic integrity, then that sort of became a millstone around her neck, didn't it?
Right. And every time Harvard thought that they had plugged the leaks in the dike and they'd covered all the instances, then would come forward another 5, 6, 7, 8 more instances of plagiarism. And then other pieces of dishonesty began to show up. There is now evidence that she fabricated data in one of her early papers, and she refused to share the data behind her claims with others. She used a statistical method that has been discredited long after it had been known to be discredited. So basically, she cut corners wherever she encountered corners. This was not an innocent person who just forgot to write her footnotes. She was conniving at this. The fact that she altered the quotations or the plagiarized passages in small ways is evidence that she knew what she was doing. This wasn't, I forgot the footnote. This was, I have disguised this to make it look like my own.
I'm struggling to be too celebratory over the end of Liz McGill at Penn and the end of Claudine Gay at Harvard, at least in the president's role. Should I be less jaded when it comes to these events?
Oh, no, you should be more jaded. Because,
you don't have to tell him twice.
Yeah, right.
Liz McGill and Claudine Gay didn't just stumble into their roles as president. They were appointed by boards who had every opportunity to know who they were appointing. In Gay's case, she had been making strong public announcements from August of 2020 onward about her revolutionary agenda, how she was going to transform Harvard into a place that was all DEI all the time. And the board stood behind that right through her congressional testimony, where she told Stefanik she had considered context when you call for genocide. The fact is that the rot here is not just in the figurehead presidents, it's in the people who put them in that position and endorse them. And in Gay's case, there were over 700 Harvard faculty members who signed on to a letter saying, no, she should not be held accountable for her views on genocide and her anti-Semitism and so on. So we're in an institution that has really deep problems, and getting rid of Gay is not going to solve them. The same thing at Penn. I think McGill goes, but the person that they put in her place is not that much better.
Well, do you think the Jewish students at Penn and at Harvard feel a little bit safer now, or feel vindicated in some way?
I think that there's mixed feelings here. They're vindicated in that their complaints have now been heard, but vindicated in the sense, has the institution taken seriously its commitment to keeping them safe against other students who believe that Hamas is just a liberty-loving, back-to-the-land group? No, those other students are still there, and they're still full of hatred and ready to come down on the Jews anytime they can. So, if I'm not Jewish, but if I were a Jewish student at Harvard, I'd certainly be looking for greater solace than I've gotten so far.
Yeah, maybe they need a special portal for Jewish students like they have for NCAA athletes to quickly move from one college to another. Peter Wood, president of the National Association of Scholars. Peter, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a multi-state PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group, as well as other teaching hospitals around the nation. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 25-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551.
Man, you talk about hitting a grand slam, just feeling just incredible. And I mean, I haven't felt this great in years. I'm 52, and with these, wow. And I just appreciate, I'm impressed. I've never felt this great. I just want to say thank you to you guys.
Honey, I am like a different woman. I mean, finally one day I kept seeing that commercial and I said, what the heck? What do I got to lose? I started feeling a little bit better. So I got my sister on them. I got my daughter on them. I can't say enough about them. I really can't. Those commercials that you all do is the truth.
Step into the new year with a new you. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
Hey, business owners, are you wondering how to grow your business? Do you need cash flow and a ready source for financing? Well, Signature Bank can help. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that Signature Bank's loan decisions are made locally by a team who knows your name, cares about your business, and is invested in your success. When you need advice about your business or even have a question, Signature Bank is there to help. There are no handoffs or call centers. This is a team that wants to get to know you and your business. That's why Signature Bank in Chicago is my bank. That's right. I'm a customer. When I call, someone picks up the phone on the other end. And with Signature Bank, I can securely bank anywhere, anytime. Reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Call 773-467-5630. That's 773-467-5630. Or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. Signaturebank.bank. Your business could be Signature Bank's next success story. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. The Biden administration, European leaders, and the UN want Israel to halt its operations in Gaza. Few among these supposed allies grasp how Hamas's October 7 massacres changed all of the calculations for Israel and its mission to defend its Jewish homeland. The Israelis, however, have not miscalculated this moment. This week, they delivered on Benjamin Netanyahu's promise to destroy Hamas to the last man in a drone strike on the group's Beirut offices. The strike killed Ismail Haniyeh's chief deputy, Saleh al-Aruri, along with 5 others in the Hamas office. This followed an absurd set of demands from Haniyeh regarding hostage negotiations that demanded thousands of prisoners released as well as an IDF withdrawal from Gaza. This sends a direct message to Hamas that their time has run out. It should also send a message to the Biden administration about the folly of deals with terrorists bent on genocide. The Israelis will no longer play by Hamas's rules or Biden's. I'm Ed Morrissey.
AM 560, The Answer.
That depth charge means it's time for our 2024 first installment of In-Depth History with Frank from Arlington Heights, because there's nothing new in this world. It's just the history we don't know. Frank, appropriately on this third day of the new year, tackles the origins of our calendar. Take it away, Frank.
Good morning. To start 2024, let's talk about the history of our calendar. It was started in the early Roman kingdom around 738 BC, but the new year for them started on March 1st, a good time for restarting military campaigns, and the month was therefore named after Mars, the god of war. Next came the regenerative months of April, May, and June, named after various goddesses. Then the months thereafter were just numbered 5 through 10, only 10 months: Quintilius, Sextilius, September, October, November, and December. In mid-December was a 7-day feast called Saturnalia, celebrating the return of the sun from its solstice. This aligns, of course, with our Christmas. After this was just a cold period of around 60 days called winter. But then around 710 BC, a later king added January, named after the sky god Janus, and February, based on a ritual purification ceremony, the Februa, which both replaced winter. So now there's 12 months. But this calendar, though, was inefficient and periodically needed additional days added, as it did not align with the solar year. And most of us know it was Julius Caesar who changed this and made January 1st the beginning of the new year and added a leap day every 4 years. Quintilius was changed to July, and later Sextilius was named August after his adopted son Octavian. This is also why our 9th month, September, really means 7th month, and our 10th month, October, really means 8th month, and so on. They just kept the month names despite their meanings being off of the annual timing. Happy New Year, everyone.
Wonderful, Frank. Thank you for that in-depth history on the calendar. And by the way, speaking of all these months that are derived from Western Civ, sounds like we're going to have to rename the months pretty soon, don't you think?
Oh, boy, don't even get me started.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're
changing
taking
the Lord's
names.
Prayer in church. So
taking names for the 12 months. We better start it here. Coming up at 7:07, we'll talk geopolitics, the state of play in Eastern Europe and Middle East with Rich Goldberg from Foundation for the Defense of Democracy, 7:07.
But first, we're going to swing by that newsroom for the one and only Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
State Police squad car hit by a drunk driver on I-57. Some area health systems are trying to require masks for visitors. And the Blackhawks get blanked by Nashville. WIND Chicago News Times, 7 o'clock.
We got to do something. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Biden said that last night about the record surge of illegal immigration when returning from his St. Croix vacation.
They ought to give me the money I need to protect the border.
Now, it's hard to hear him, but he says Congress ought to give him the money he needs to protect the border. But Republicans blame his policies.
The Biden presidency is on pace. At the end of his 4 years, he will have allowed into the country, when you talk about the gotaways and everything else, 12 million illegals.
Congressman Jim Jordan and several dozen other House Republicans will go to the border in Texas today demanding one policy change.
No money can be used to process or release into the country any new migrants. Stop the problem right now. Just say we're not going to do it. Call a complete timeout.
Former President Trump's lawyers are busy. They filed their attempt to get a federal appeals court to grant him presidential immunity, trying to get the charges dropped in the federal 2020 election-related indictment. The Trump campaign is also going to court in Maine.
Maine's Superior Court is being asked to reverse a ruling from Democrat Secretary of State Shenna Bellows that bars former President Trump from Maine's primary ballot in March. Bellows is the first state election chief to bar someone from running for president president because of the 14th Amendment's insurrection clause.
As Fox's Jared Halpern, the former president has not been charged with the crime of insurrection and remains on the ballot in Colorado. The court ruling there kicking him off was put on hold by Colorado's Republican Party appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. Israel is on high alert the day after killing a senior Hamas leader. The concern there is a possible retaliation from Lebanon, where the strike happened.
From the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah or Palestinian factions that could include long-range fire toward Israeli cities. The uncertainty along Israel's northern front comes as the IDF continues to push forward with operations in southern Gaza, going after new Hamas hideouts and infrastructure.
That's Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. America's listening to Fox News.
32 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Police say a shooting left 2 women dead in Cicero Tuesday night. Cicero police say the shooting happened in the 1800 block of South 48th Court around 7:45 p.m. and may have been domestic related. Chicago firefighter is charged with attempted murder in a shooting in Andersonville on New Year's Eve. While Mateo Kasim faces accounts of aggravated battery and aggravated discharge of a firearm as well, the victim was sent to the hospital in critical condition. Some Chicago area healthcare systems are trying to require masks for patients, visitors, and staff in certain settings. It includes Rush Health and Endeavor Health. The change follows a rise in respiratory viruses, mainly the flu and RSV. City of Rockford saw over 350 migrants arrive on New Year's Eve. Those who arrived were quickly ushered onto buses and sent on to Chicago. State Senator Andrew Chesney says police did the right thing.
We don't want this. We don't want our resources being taken up by these asylum seekers and non-citizens and fill in the blank. We don't want this. And so I think that you're seeing this tide turn.
The state has seen over 25,000 migrants arrive over the last 15 months, which Chesney says is due in part to failed Democrat policies.
And that policy is being endorsed by extreme Democrats and J.B. Pritzker, and they've doubled down on this issue, and now you're seeing the direct consequence in all of our communities.
The village of Hinsdale is clamping down on the arrival of migrants. Village approving new regulations last night. Woodstock, Buffalo Grove, and Joliet also took official action in meetings last night. 76ers beat the Bulls 110-97. Blackhawks blanked by Nashville 3-0. Fighting Illini 96-66 winners over Northwestern at State Farm Center last night. The News is a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges and special members-only content. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
It's a new year, and that usually means a clean slate. But looking to the future, this country faces many challenges. Oh yeah, there's that thing called an election this year. But don't worry, we'll be here to give you fresh, intelligent ideas to meet the challenges of the future. Plus, election coverage you can count on. Here's to an insightful and memorable 2024. AM 560, The Answer.
Markets are trembling. Don't be a casualty of economic upheaval. Do what I did and embrace the safety of gold. Talk to the experts at Noble Gold Investments today, and you can claim a free 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin. With gold at an all-time high, you need to jump on this. Just use the promo code GOLD. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com now.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
When you're looking to make your business bulletproof, what comes to mind? Trustworthiness? Accuracy?
Truthiness? Well, that's not even a real word. In today's competitive business landscape, considerations like trust, attention to service, accuracy, and knowledge are critical. So is cost, and finding the right balance is important, especially where your business insurance, employee benefits, and executive compensation needs are concerned. For bulletproofing your business, remember DSP Insurance Services. DSP is family-owned and has provided comprehensive risk management solutions and strategic excellence across industries for over 40 years. Business owners continue to partner with DSP because they offer the robust services of a national broker, yet a personal touch that is harder than ever to find these days. Contact DSP Insurance Services for a business and risk audit today. Visit online at dspmybusiness.com. That's dspmybusiness.com. DSP Insurance, your outsourced risk management department since 1981.
It's 7:07. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Edens and Kennedy are off and on time this morning. The Ike slows up 35, 390 into the old post office. You'll hit the brakes at Laramie. Stevenson inbound, 30 minutes, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. 20 minutes in on the Dan Ryan, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. And delays in West Chicago this morning at Route 59 and Hawthorne due to an accident. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
It will be a cloudy day. Our high today at 36. Flurries tonight under partly cloudy skies, low 26, and then sunny tomorrow, the high 35. Clear and cold tomorrow night, low 25, and then a cloudy day for Friday, the high at 37. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
32 at O'Hare and 32 along Chicago's lakefront. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So last week, Politico reported that the Biden administration is quietly pivoting its Ukrainian policy, in part because of additional funding being a question mark, but also in part it has to be a reflection on how they think the campaign is going to repel the Russians. The Politico saying that the Biden administration and European officials quietly shifting their focus from supporting Ukraine's goal of total victory over Russia to improving its position in an eventual negotiation to end the war. Though, of course, it's not making any of that public or offering its official stamp on that characterization. Which leads me to a assessment from Columbia University's Jeffrey Sachs on a recent podcast. Now, Sachs is a complicated figure. I'm not really much of a fan because he's a Keynesian, number one. Number two, he's a world government guy who's been involved in all sorts of UN-fueled economic development gambits in the developing world that have been rather catastrophic. But I say that, sort of statement averse to interest, because just because I'm playing Sachs here doesn't, playing a clip is not necessarily an endorsement of the view. It's the jumping off point for a conversation. But certainly Sachs is no sort of, iconoclastic isolationist conservative. I just want to make that clear. I mean, he is at Columbia University, so that sort of says it all. Anyway, here's his assessment on the last 2 years of Biden administration policy in Ukraine.
Ukraine is being slaughtered. Russia is dominant on the battlefield. We have heard in recent weeks so many details of how the United States stopped an agreement between Ukraine and Russia, which would have spared Ukraine of this war. And the U.S. stopped it because it told the Ukrainians, you keep fighting. and the Ukrainians have lost hundreds of thousands of people. You have these two, Zaluzhny and Zelensky, who are basically in the U.S. pocket and have been funded by the U.S., and the U.S. told them, fight. And it's been a bloodbath and a disaster, and it continues to be so, and it will continue to be so. And so this is an end game, and it's a shame of Biden who caused this, because Biden stopped negotiations that would have ended the conflict in March or April 2022. And now this has been widely reported. We talked about it months ago because I knew it directly from the Turkish negotiators and from others. But now the news has spilled out into the public. In other words, this is a war that is causing disaster in Ukraine, that is causing massive costs to the United States, that is serving no useful purpose, and that was prolonged deliberately by Biden in some completely miscalculated idea that this would weaken Russia, when it's done exactly the opposite, of course. It's strengthened Russia, led to a massive upgrading of Russia's military technology, the size of Russia's army, and all of this was predictable, except that we have a completely incompetent administration.
For reaction to this and discussion on other geopolitical matters, please be joined again by Rich Goldberg, former National Security Council official and U.S. Senate aide, currently senior advisor at the Fund of Democracies. Rich, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Do we have Rich?
Rich, are you there?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, there we go. So, Rich, what's your assessment of what Jeffrey Sachs had to say? Are we now, with this administration, coming to a point that we could have been at a year and a half ago?
Well, listen, I'm somebody who was frustrated from day one in this conflict, having come out of an administration that was far tougher on Russia, that had ended the Obama-Clinton, remember the Hillary Clinton reset, the Russia reset. And everybody who ridiculed our presidential nominee in 2012 has said that Russia was a threat. And we rolled all that support for Ukraine, for Poland, for Georgia, for our Eastern European allies back to try to appease Putin for years. President Trump actually put an end to all of that, started actually increasing arms sales to Ukraine, to Georgia, increasing our partnership with Poland, getting out of all the treaties that Putin was stealing and cheating on, old Cold War era stuff that he wasn't even abiding by, that was just hurting our own national security, our nuclear forces. And in comes Joe Biden, and it's the old Obama, Clinton team, and they're back to their old ways of appeasing Putin from day one. And it's like we all forget that we woke up and there is President Biden who's giving this press conference basically green-lighting Putin to invade Ukraine. And the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, where he goes to Camp David, doesn't lift a finger, won't talk to anybody, as our allies are getting slaughtered all the way to Kabul in a matter of days by the Taliban. The green flashing light for Putin to have this conflict, the withholding of arms for months to try to avoid, quote-unquote, escalating with Putin, the withdrawing our forces from Ukraine, shutting down the embassy, basically handing Ukraine to Putin. And then, remember, he said that, with all these leaks that, well, Putin was going to take Kyiv in like 72 hours. So what could we do? We're just going to walk away. And then he got dragged back to this because the Ukrainians actually fought for themselves. And we said, Mr. President, give them everything they need to win this conflict quickly. Give them longer range missiles. Give them aircraft. Give them all these different list of assets and inventory, and actually cripple the Russian economy quickly, go after their main source of revenues, trap their oil and natural gas revenues in a way that doesn't actually hurt us. We've done sanctions like that before on countries like Iran. He didn't do any of it. He just waits for months, gets dragged to European pressure, Ukrainian press conferences, relents to actually congressional Republicans who spend months saying, we actually just want to see Ukraine win so we can move on with our lives. And then he finally transfers weapons too late, too little, and it's what we see today. And so now here we are 2 years later.
And we're saying, wow, Ukraine's not doing well on the battlefield, and this is grinding to a potential armistice or wherever we're heading with this, and what's going to happen. And this is all Biden's fault, and that's what we have to. You don't have to be against Ukrainian victory to understand that Joe Biden has led us to a situation where Ukraine cannot win because we haven't allowed Ukraine to win. Now, is it too late? I don't know. I leave that to some of the tactical battlefield experts who are analyzing this on a daily basis. Has our strategic interest changed here? Is Putin our friend? Should we want a stronger Russia? No. Is it a good thing that the Ukrainians have destroyed like half of Russia's war power? Yes. Donald Trump's national security strategy said our greatest threats in the world are China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea in that order. So if our second largest threat, Russia, has been greatly diminished in this conflict, and Putin has paid an enormous military price for invading Ukraine, and the Ukrainians have shown this will to continue to fight, and it's inspired others in Europe to start increasing their defense budgets, which they've been woefully inadequate on, making us carry the load through NATO for all these years. And it's actually inspiring the Poles and other Eastern Europeans to start saying, we want to deepen our partnership, nuclear force buildup all those years under Obama. And Joe Biden comes in day one and says, hey, how about we just do a 5-year extension for free and no changes? Doesn't cover China's nuclear buildup either. And so, yeah, I don't buy the argument that Russia has benefited from this. But the fact that they haven't suffered more losses, the fact that they've been able to circumvent a very weak Swiss cheese sanctions regime, which wasn't surprising to me. I call for a much tougher sanction regime day one. I mean, these are problems we're going to have to deal with. And of course, Putin, strong ally of Xi Jinping, their partnership only deepens by the day. That was going to happen whether the Ukraine conflict went on or not. A strong ally of Iran, helping them break sanctions for years. And so I think we need to be clear-eyed. Zoom back out. Don't just stay on the battlefield in Ukraine. Zoom back out. What's the big picture here of China, Russia, Iran, other actors like Venezuela, working every day to see how they can undermine the United States? Whatever happens next in Ukraine, we still have to deal with that reality geopolitically.
Well, let's move on to Iran because, giving our enemy $10 billion, what was that all about?
Well, this is, again, this fantasy land that they live in since the Obama era. Remember the Iran nuclear deal back in 2015 that Obama and John Kerry cut with the Iranians? Again, just a straight appeasement policy. We'll just open the floodgates, give Iran access to billions of dollars, and somehow that's going to magically change their behavior. They won't be a sponsor of terrorism. They won't continue to build and test longer-range missiles to reach the United States. They won't attack U.S. forces in throughout the region. They won't try to shut down global shipping. And they won't advance their nuclear program to get on the 1-yard line of a nuclear weapons program. And, of course, all that actually happens when you give a regime like Iran billions of dollars is they take that money to invest in all of those malign activities. And maybe you buy a few months of quiet, a few years of quiet in certain regards, but the threat just builds up. And so what happened was we went from maximum pressure under the Trump administration, where we entered 2021, Iran is down to $4 billion in accessible foreign exchange reserves. And they're back to the white whale of this Iran nuclear deal. Let's get rid of maximum pressure. Let's start reaching out to the Iranians again. Let's offer them money. Maybe that will slow their nuclear program. Maybe that will stop them from being bad actors who pledge death to America, death to Israel. I mean, real just crazy ideologies that just are not grounded in reality. And they spend 2.5 years chasing after the Iranians to get this nuclear deal while Iran says, great, you're going to just keep offering us money, no consequences. We can race forward on our nuclear program. We can invest in a terror infrastructure. And then this past year, they finally got a deal done, only they were so afraid of the politics of the deal, they didn't tell anybody. So they went to Oman. They cut a deal with the Iranians. We'll give you $10 billion out of Iraq that you can use. We'll do a hostage deal where we send you another $6 billion out of South Korea. We'll let all your oil go to China. We won't stop it. We won't enforce sanctions on the Chinese or on any of your folks sending oil.
and you'll get something like $50 billion over the next year. And we just want you to stay under the nuclear threshold. You can keep expanding your nuclear program under 90% weapons-grade uranium and make it a bigger threat to us, but you just can't go to that 90% threshold. Otherwise, politically, we're going to have to end this terrible policy, and we might actually have to attack your nuclear program the way Donald Trump was prepared to do. So don't make us do that. Just take the money. And yeah, they took the money, and where does the money go? The money
finance their terrorist proxies.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And we're so shocked that October 7th happened just months after the money starts opening up for Iran and its terror proxies. So this is crazy policy, and you could even say, okay, this was the policy before October 7th. Maybe it's going to change now. It's not changed. It hasn't.
Well,
He's issued a waiver to give more money after October 7th. It's crazy, Dan.
Well, and to your point, I mean, we see reports out now with the Houthi rebels in Yemen that are backed by the Iranians. Half of the Red Sea container ship fleet is avoiding the Suez Canal because they are under attack, and so now you're allowing the Iranians to interrupt international shipping lanes as well.
Exactly, and there's no response. There's 3 destroyers that try to run up and down the Red Sea, hoping they are at the right place at the right time to intercept a missile or a drone. That's costing us money, by the way, every time we send off one of these standard missiles off a U.S. destroyer. No military response against where these missiles are coming from in Yemen. Why? Because the Houthis are owned and operated by the Iranians. And the administration spent 2.5, 3 years brokering a ceasefire in Yemen to legitimize these Houthis, bring them into the international community, and push the Saudis into a peace deal with them and with Iran. It's all a result. It's an actual consequence of our policies in Washington. And so, people say, oh, well, what's the U.S. interest here? Why are we getting involved here? What is the U.S. interest here? Beijing is watching all of this. If we allow a bunch of ragtag folks armed by Iran to shut down the Red Sea, to shut down the Bab el-Mandeb, one of the most critical waterways for shipping in the world, the Chinese take note. They're looking at the Taiwan Strait.
Well,
They're looking at that.
Yeah, well, the U.S. Army did attack 3 Houthi boats in the Red Sea 3 days ago. That's not going to change anything?
No, because these are little small speedboats that you would have, parked in Lake Michigan. Only they put machine guns and maybe an RPG on them.
We have to put those on boats in Lake Michigan now too. Yeah.
Oh wait, isn't it true? Did President Biden take the Houthi rebels off the terror list?
They did.
Why?
One of his first foreign policy actions. It's all part of the Iran appeasement structure.
Terrorists are just friends we haven't made yet. Speaking of America's enemies in this hemisphere too, this isn't getting as much attention as perhaps it deserves, particularly since this administration went with its tin cup to Caracas to get oil, since they won't let us produce it domestically at proper capacity. Maduro has ordered a national referendum on whether Venezuela should invade Guyana and take it, because they need the natural resources there. And now both the U.S. and the U.K. are scrambling naval resources down. So now are we potentially opening up another front, another war front that we're going to be involved in, and we're going to have instigated because of our policy and with respect to Venezuela?
Isn't it amazing, Dan? You're completely right. We have funded every single one of the threats that metastasize and blow up in our face, and it's an "I told you so" moment every single time. Whether it's Putin, whether it's Iran, whether it's Venezuela, this is a regime that was under enormous stress under the Trump administration, that was at odds with the policies of the Obama administration that tried to relax sanctions on Cuba and Venezuela and others, believing, again, you can just bring these people into the fold. They only hate America because we've been mean to them, of course. So if you relax the sanctions, they'll suddenly come into the fold, and that's, of course, crazy. They're strong military partners of the Russians, in bed with the Chinese economically, completely ideologically trying to recreate this Cold War era of taking over Latin America and turning it into this anti-American carrier right on our southern border, who uses the access routes through Southern America, who's embedded with these populations that are flooding our southern border because we have no border security, the Iranians, Hezbollah, others. And so it's absolutely crazy. And what? So he wants his broken energy policy of hating American energy and trying to sanction American energy. He tries to solve by saying it's okay to relax sanctions on dictators' oil. American oil is bad, but Venezuelan oil is okay. Iranian oil is okay. And amazingly, when you relax these sanctions on Maduro, when you do these crazy hostage deals, when you give him back all his people, he takes it out for a ride and says, "Okay, let's start expanding in our neck of the woods." It's an unsustainable policy, and of course, it leads to conflict. And it's like these genies that keep popping out of the bottle, and it gives, unfortunately, it gives isolationists on our side of the aisle an opportunity to say, "Oh, look, this is why we shouldn't meddle anywhere. This is why we shouldn't be anywhere in the world." No, that's not true. It's why we shouldn't have crazy policies that embolden dictators throughout the world, and why we actually need to go back to Reagan policies of peace through strength.
Rich Goldberg, former National Security Council official and U.S. Senate aide, currently a senior advisor at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. Rich, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Happy New Year from Ira Antelis and all my friends at 120 Life. Lowering your blood pressure is a commendable, health-conscious New Year's resolution, one you should be proud of. 120 Life is here to help you with 5 tips. First, cut back on your salt intake. Excess salts contribute to high blood pressure. Second, exercise regularly. It will help you lose weight and improve your cardiovascular health. Third, cut back on smoking, alcohol, and caffeine, or eliminate them altogether. Fourth, eat balanced diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins. And lastly, drink 120 Life, a juice drink and a powder mix that lowers your blood pressure naturally without the side effects of pharmaceuticals. I'm drinking it. I love it. It works like a charm. And for those with diabetes, the powdered mix has just 1 gram of sugar. It's an important New Year's resolution. Give these tips in 120 Life a try. Order at 120life.com. That's 120life.com. Use coupon code NEWYEAR at checkout to save 20%. That's coupon code NEWYEAR. Order today and save 20% with coupon code NEWYEAR. Don't wait. This offer ends January 31st.
In a world where financial landscapes can change rapidly, safeguarding your savings and retirement accounts is paramount. Direct Bullion USA is more than just the #1 rated gold bullion dealer in America. We're your trusted partner in navigating the uncertainties of hyperinflation and political upheaval around the world. And we share your Christian worldview. Call us now at 888-787-GOLD. Precious metals like gold and silver have been a safe haven investment for hundreds of years. And investors are diversifying their portfolios every month with physical gold and silver with Direct Bullion USA. Get started when you call Direct Bullion USA at 888-787-4653 and get your free gold investing starter kit today. All it takes is one call to 888-787-GOLD. Take control of your retirement and protect your future with Direct Bullion USA. Call 888-787-4653. That's 888-787-GOLD.
All right, we reached our goal. We are going to feed 4,700 plus kids next year, thanks to your contributions and your help. And we could not thank you enough. Very gracious, very grateful. But we still have room for a few more business benefactors, and we'll be accepting new donations for the next several weeks before we completely wrap up this campaign. What's a business benefactor? Well, you make a $2,500 tax-deductible donation, yes, for 2024. And as a way of saying thank you, we give you 41-minute commercials. Applied Mechanical Sales, Reliable Plant Plating, K&S Precision Metals, St. James at Sagbridge Catholic Church, SE Consultants, the list goes on. And we want you to be a part of it if you own a business or make the marketing decisions for your company. How to do that? Call Ann Jeanette at 847-472-8951. Ann Jeanette at 847-472-8951.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Obama's favorite Republican, New York Times columnist David Brooks, says 2023, good year. Wages up, crime down. We'll see what economist Steve Moore thinks at 7:37.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
7:32 is our time. We have 32 degrees this morning and light snow showers falling across some of the area. Former President Donald Trump has filed an appeal in an attempt to get his name back on Maine's presidential primary ballot. Nearly a third of the House Republican Conference will visit the southern border today in Eagle Pass, Texas. They'll be getting a first-hand look at the ongoing migrant surge. Ohio Republican Representative Jim Jordan on Fox this morning.
We need the legislation we passed several months ago. That would fix the problem. But if they're not going to do that, then just do one sentence change. That sentence is real simple. No money can be used to process or release into the country any new migrants.
A new border security bill is being debated in Congress. New Jersey Democrat Senator Bob Menendez facing more bribery accusations. Fox's Peter Doocy is at the White House.
Bob Menendez gets a text from a businessman with ties to the Qatari government that says, "How about one of these?" And it's photos of two watches ranging from $9,900 to $23,990. That was allegedly in exchange for a very Qatar-friendly press release on the New Jersey senator's letterhead. And this is different than the allegations that Menendez worked to advance Egyptian interests in exchange for cash and gold bars. So now the Menendez charges are bribery, honest services fraud, and extortion.
Fox's Peter Doocy. Menendez's legal team argues the federal government doesn't have the proof to back up any of the new allegations. Police say a shooting that left two women dead in Cicero Tuesday night took place inside of a home on South 48th Court. Police also say it may have been domestic related. A Chicago firefighter is charged with attempted murder in a shooting in the Andersonville neighborhood on New Year's Eve. Omateo Kasim faces counts of aggravated battery and aggravated discharge of a firearm as well. A Dalton woman is facing charges following a New Year's Eve crash involving a state police squad car in Cook County. Lisbeth Williams was reportedly driving Sunday night when she slammed into the back of the squad of a trooper performing a traffic stop on the I-57 northbound entrance ramp from Halstead Street. Chicago Board of Education pondering the removal of police from schools this year. Chicago public school officials telling principals to prepare for the possible removal of police officers stationed in school buildings. And an Illinois lawmaker wants to ban a portrait of former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan from being hung in the state capitol. With Madigan set to go on trial in April, State Representative Ryan Spain's resolution would ban any painting of Madigan from being hung in the State House and the adjoining Capitol complex in Springfield. 76ers beat the Bulls, Nashville beat the Blackhawks, and the Fighting Illini crushed Northwestern in Big Ten hoops 96-66. 7:35 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager sees a major divide.
A former president and the leading contender for the nomination for president of one of the two parties could not be on the ballot in the state of Colorado. This is a dividing line that is unbridgeable. It was a despicable, America-crushing decision by tyrants. They're just tyrants.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts: knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
My brother was here with his wife, and I said, listen, take the rest of these 2 bottles. And my brother's like, well, and I said, no, there's nothing to think about. Just get it, order it, get it on auto ship. And in the first couple months, you may not thank me and go, I don't feel anything. But I said, but about that third month, it starts kicking in. I mean, I'm singing, I'm doing dishes. I love it. Absolutely love, love, love it.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-353-2973 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-353-2973. That's 800-353-2973. What do you have to lose? Call 800-353-2973. Again, 800-353-2973.
Make the hiring process work for you. With Indeed's end-to-end hiring solution, you can attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
7:39. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. It is a service of the AM 560 store. T-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Profit University. Go to 560theanswer.com/store. Bedford Park, an accident, Harlem and 65th. Metro Milwaukee Westline trains are delayed up to 25 minutes due to a vehicle accident not involving a Metro train, and delays again are up to 25 minutes there. Dan Ryan inbound, crowding up between 76th and the Skyway. It's 20 minutes in, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Mostly cloudy, couple of flurries today, high 36. Partly cloudy, couple of flurries overnight, low 26. 32 at O'Hare, 33 at Midway, 32 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Obama's favorite Republican, which is to say a Democrat, that would be New York Times columnist David Brooks. The Republican columnist at the New York Times, right. He does this end of the week confab with Jonathan Capehart for PBS, in which they opine about goings on. And their end of the year review of the presidential race and the economic landscape upon which this presidential race will be run was this. At least this was David Brooks's offering. Of course, Capehart's was even worse, so it gives you a sense of the expanse of the parameters of debate on that show. Basically, the eye of a needle.
But to me, our national situation has been solved, S-A-L-V-E-D, by the strength of the economy, by a lot of good things that are happening underneath politics. So economic growth is phenomenal right now. Unemployment is low. Inflation is down. Income inequality is down. Wages are up. Real wages are up. And so if it was not predicted that we would reduce this inflation without sliding into recession, and we seem to be doing it, And if we'd fallen into 7% unemployment, 10%, can you imagine where the country would be? So just to pay tribute maybe to the Fed, but to somebody, the economy is really good. And the best thing is America is not a country in decline. Our economy is outpacing Europe, Japan, China now. And so there are underlying good forces in America that we're all wounded by how Donald Trump wants us to feel every day. But there's a lot of good coming, including, except for in Washington, D.C., really rapidly decreasing crime rates.
I mean,
we're the tallest skyscraper in Wichita. Let's celebrate. Some of what Brooks said is true. A lot of it is untrue, particularly the last piece about crime. But some of the economic things he said are untrue, too, in terms of real wage growth. The crime, of course, yeah, we're slightly down in big cities across the country on the murder rate, but the overall violent crime rate in most of those cities, as in Chicago, is up, and even the murder rate is just down from 30-year highs a couple of years ago. So this idea that there's some sort of policy driving a better, safer America is absurd, and that's what David Brooks wants you to believe. I guess he credits the Fed for this alleged soft landing. The interesting thing is the whole, what Donald Trump wants us to believe. I guess David Brooks would have to answer the question, why since he and his friends control the state-run media, they're part of the state-run media, they're the press corps for this administration, why is it that 3/4 of Americans think that they're less well-off economically than they were when Biden took office?
Because we are.
Well, because
no, I know,
Trump,
because it's just continuing the lie. And now, we've got an election coming up, so let's get all of our mouthpieces out there to start advocating now for Biden.
75% of the country are Trump supporters. Boy, this is going to be a real runaway if that's true. I don't think so. For more on this, pleased to be joined by our friend Steve Moore, GovZell author and economist. Steve, Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Happy New Year, guys. Great to be with you again. And by the way, I've answered your question that you asked Amy. I know why it is that 75% of Americans feel bad about the economy, because they've been brainwashed by the right-wing media. Don't you understand?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's
a dominant right-wing media.
It's that pro-Trump media out there that's filling Americans' minds with. And by the way, that's what they actually believe. That's what the people of Washington actually believe. There's something else going on here that even you guys probably can't appreciate because you're not in the bubble of Washington, D.C., and I do live inside of the Washington Beltway. So I'm among these people. There is a bubble. People in Washington live in an alternative universe, and things are great in Washington. I mean, gosh, you keep spending $6 trillion a year. We live high on the hog on that. But the problem is none of these people like David Brooks. And by the way, David Brooks is a friend of mine. And I'd say about half of what he said is right, and half of it is an outright lie. But the fact is, people in Washington get rich off of your and Amy's tax dollars, and you send us $1, we send you 80 cents back, and we keep the change. And so what I'm saying is that people in Washington and people in politics have completely lost touch with what real on-the-ground Main Street Americans are feeling in terms of their wallet. Let me just correct David Brooks on one thing, because this lie is told over and over again, and I can't believe this. Either they're incredibly stupid or they're just, being a little careless with the facts. It is true that the rate of inflation is down, okay? The rate of price increases is less than it was a year and a half ago. No doubt about it. We've gone from 9.2% inflation to about 3.2% inflation. But prices are still rising. These people have to go to the grocery store. Amy, they have to go to the gas pump. They have to pay a mortgage payment.
Can you help me out here? Because I always thought that grocery store prices were related to gas prices because, the trucking companies have to, drudge, whatever.
Yep.
Nothing has changed in our world. I mean, gas prices are down. Somewhere is even, below $3 if you're out in the suburbs or in DuPage County. But why hasn't that trickled down to the grocery stores yet? And is it ever going to?
Boy, if you guys are paying less than $3 a gallon, boy, I want to find that service station, because we're still paying about $3.49 a gallon here in Virginia, and in California still pay over $5 a gallon. So the price of gallon nationally is about $1.25 higher today than it was when Trump left office. But look, you're exactly right. That energy is the most important resource in terms of, when energy prices go up, everything goes up. But there's special problems with the food sector. I mean, here's the thing: grocery prices today, for everything from eggs to ground beef to a box of cereal to all the kinds of things that people have to buy, fruits and vegetables. Those are up since Trump came into office by 22%.
Yep.
So that's something to take a standing ovation for Joe Biden. Congratulations.
Well, right. I mean, of course, gas prices are not the only variable when it comes to these other goods and services. The other thing, though, too, is, I mean, your point about the, a slow in the rate of increase is not a decline. It's just it's an increase that's happening at a smaller increment. And then, of course, there's the multiplier effect of that. And a lot of this, by the way, isn't measured by some of these metrics used to measure inflation. So they kick out food and energy prices in terms of what they're presenting into what the real inflation rate is. So there's one thing that's being reported by these dum-dums in the D.C. press corps, and then there's another thing that people are actually paying at the pump and at the grocery store.
So let me also turn to the crime statistics, because there is an obvious flaw that's been pointed out many times about this crime data, because we just don't really have that good crime data. And what's happening is, first of all, a lot of cities aren't really reporting their true, serious felony crime statistics, and so they're omitting the stuff. We know that. We know that this data is flawed, and so I kind of trust the people rather than these statistics, because the people who live in these cities, 75% of them are saying crime is getting worse. By the way, and you're right. The murder rate may have fallen a little bit from an all-time 50-year high since Al Capone reigned the streets, but the property crime is higher than ever. The theft from stores is higher than ever. So how are they saying the crime rates are down?
Yeah, well,
and things are locked up if you go to a CVS store.
Well, and say a lot of retail theft, but I mean, a carjacking is not simply a property crime, and those are way up, for example. So I mean, there's all sorts of traumatic felonies that are being committed that don't result in somebody's death, but result in altering their life for the foreseeable future. Yeah. And but we just want to talk about the violent crimes that are most convenient to talk about to cast these Democrat pawls in the best possible light, and that's
what's
done in
cities,
Chicago too.
I forget which one of the cities. I don't think it was Chicago, because I was listening to a news report last night. They said, I think it might have been Baltimore. They said, the number of murders is down to 260 murders a year. I'm like, that's 5 people murdered every week. I mean, come on, how is that something to applaud? That 5 people are murdered almost one every day is murdered, and they're gonna say, "Oh, thank God, we solved the murder problem." So those are the kinds of things that I think are misleading about these statistics. Now, look, the economy is better, no question about it, but the middle class has still lost about $2,000 in purchasing power during the Biden presidency, whereas under Trump, the average family income went up by $6,000, and that's probably the most important statistic of all.
Well, and the other thing too, just to go back to gas prices for a second, a good write-up by James Freeman over the holiday, as Chevron sent a message to California that you're making it impossible for us to do business here, so We've moved hundreds of millions of dollars in investment elsewhere. In fact, in the last decade, oil production in California has fallen by nearly half. That's good news for Guyana, where Chevron is making investments. It's also good news for those who are fracking on private and state lands in places like Texas and North Dakota, because the oil production in those places, along with the Permian Basin in the Southwest, has exploded. And that's the only reason the rest of the country isn't in the situation of California and actually, as you said, paying $5 at the pump.
Yeah, so the other thing that's going on, and these statistics just came out, I think, earlier this week, is that, the U-Haul data of where people are moving to or from came out. And this is a real world measure of, when people are packing up their bags and leaving one place to another and relocating. And guess what state has had the third most net departers?
Illinois,
yeah, Illinois, behind New York and California. And here's the most amazing thing. Let's say that you're living in the Chicagoland area, and you say, look, I'm just fed up with the crime, the taxes, the liberal progressive policies, so I'm going to move to Palm Beach, Florida. You're going to pay like $4,000 for the Utah U-Haul trailer to move your stuff. Whereas if you were in Palm Beach and you wanted to move to Chicago, you know what you'd pay? Like $500.
Wow. It's a big difference. Well, congratulations to Washington, D.C., because you guys have the highest minimum wage now, starting January 1st. Minimum wage of $17 an hour. How is that going to motivate anybody to achieve, a higher education or to make even more money than that?
Yeah, here's the problem. What you do when you raise, and by the way, a reasonable minimum wage of, $12 an hour, I think is fine. I've always said we should have a teenage minimum wage of maybe $7. My first job when I was 17 was working in a warehouse in Northbrook, and I've said this on your show before, but what I learned from that important minimum wage job is that I didn't want to spend the rest of my life working in a warehouse. Right? But that first job, I bet most of the people listening to this show remember the first job they ever had. And you learn a lot, don't you, Amy? What was your first job, Amy?
I worked at Diamond Dave's in Randhurst Mall in Mount Prospect. And Diamond Dave's was the craziest name for a taco joint.
Still there?
No. The mall's not even there either. That's how old I am.
I don't know if Dan has ever had a real job. But
no, he was a caddy.
Yeah, I was a
caddy.
I started
brushed
working
up with the famous people. He caddied for Michael Jordan. Okay.
Oh my God!
Look, let me tell you something. I was working at the age of 11 while you were sitting on your candy ass on the North Shore, Steve Moore. Don't get me started.
Well, I lived right up the street from Indian Hill Country Club, where we had something called a Caddy Shack. And guess what movie was made?
Let me guess.
Caddyshack. The Murray Brothers, of course.
The Murray Brothers, yep.
Yeah.
And that Caddyshack really does exist, folks.
So
Baby Ruth in the swimming pool.
So are you telling me that the Spalding character was loosely based on your life?
That's me. I had all the girls.
All right, Steve Moore, economist, Govzilla author. Thanks as always, Steve. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys, have a great week.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Pure Talk has you covered because they just added international roaming to over 30 countries. That's right. Whether you're making calls from the Vatican or on a beach in the Bahamas, you're covered. From the steps of Buckingham Palace or your villa in Italy, you can dial away. Here's the best part. There's no rate increase. Pure Talk still saves the average family almost $1,000 a year with plans starting at just $20 a month. And they put you on America's most dependable 5G network, so the coverage is second to none. Stop dragging your feet. Make the switch to Pure Talk, a veteran-owned wireless company with simply the best U.S. customer service team. Now with international roaming to over 30 countries. From your cell phone, just dial pound 250, and when prompted, say the keyword Mike Gallagher to make the switch. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Just grab your phone, dial pound 250, and when prompted, say Mike Gallagher and start saving on your wireless now, like I do with Pure Talk. Pure Talk is simply smarter wireless.
It's not if, but when you are going to have joint pain in your knees and your shoulder and your hip. So don't go another year compromising because of that pain in your knees or shoulder. Call QC Kinetics now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative, non-surgical pain relief. You know, your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue, and QC Kinetics can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. You don't have to take vacation days off of work. So the future of pain treatment has arrived, folks, and hundreds of board-certified QC Kinetics providers have treated tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People with that back pain, hip pain, and any pain associated with arthritis or an injury. This is not a Band-Aid, folks, and this is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again. So get your life back. And listen, it's non-surgical. So if this is the year you decide to fight back against that pain, take the first step now. Call QC Kinetics. Get a free consultation on the calendar today. The number to call, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
When you're in the market to buy or sell a home, commercial property, or even vacant land, let attorney Susan J. Kim step in. She's reliable, responsive, personable, and extremely thorough when helping you deal with an otherwise stressful transaction. Attorney Kim leads with her values and is committed to providing legal services with excellence. To contact Attorney Kim, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com. Whether it's drafting agreements, negotiating contract terms, or closing on a property, Attorney Susan J. Kim can do it all. Over 10 years of experience and her wealth of knowledge tackling complicated legal negotiations and breaking them down into a smooth, easy-to-understand process is what she does best. So let Attorney Susan J. Kim step in. To schedule your legal consultation today, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com or call 847-906-3166. Susan J. Kim Attorney at Law is a state of Illinois licensed real estate attorney.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before, even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a multi-state PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group, as well as other teaching hospitals around the nation. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 25-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 808, holiday travel story, holiday horrible travel stories, travel horror stories. At 808, did you have any? I didn't travel, so I didn't, but I have some people who did. That's at 808.
All right, I can't wait to hear that. And today, mostly cloudy, a high of 36 degrees. It's now 8 a.m., WIND, Chicago.
They're going to the border today. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Dozens of House Republicans.
We're here to ask the important questions. What must we do to finally secure the border?
That's Mark Molinaro, a congressman from New York who's in Texas. He tells Fox another record surge of migrants coming here illegally last month.
The president is ignoring what is a true national security crisis.
Now, the president said last night, when returning from his St. Croix vacation, that Congress ought to give him money to protect the border.
But first, he plans to reopen 4 ports of entry, 1 in Texas, 1 in California, 2 in Arizona, that had been closed because CBP has been overwhelmed. The White House also wants the Supreme Court to allow feds to take down razor wire laid across the border by Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
As Fox's Peter Doocy at the White House, there's been an attack in Iran, which is calling it terrorism. The day they honored a general the U.S. killed in an airstrike.
A pair of explosions rocked a ceremony marking the 4-year anniversary of the death of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. Iranian state media says at least 70 people are dead and more than 170 are injured.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Israel, where they're on high alert for possible retaliation the day after a strike in Lebanon killed a senior Hamas leader. It's up to 73 people dead in Japan's earthquake disaster as rescue workers keep searching rubble for more victims. Former President Trump's campaign has filed an appeal to the Maine Superior Court trying to overturn the Secretary of State's decision kicking him off the primary ballot, claiming, like a court ruled in Colorado, the former president is disqualified for leading an insurrection, something he's never been charged with. Trump Republican challengers like Ron DeSantis want him to stay on the ballots.
And I've been very clear about both of those decisions in those states. It's not consistent with the Constitution. I do expect them to get reversed.
Trump is still on the Colorado ballot, though, because of a Republican Party appeal. America's listening to Fox News. 32 degrees. Skies are cloudy. 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning.
I'm Mike Scott. Police say a shooting that left 2 women dead in Cicero Tuesday night took place inside of a home in the 1800 block of South 48th Court. It happened around 7:45 and may be domestic related. A Chicago firefighter is charged with attempted murder in a shooting in the Andersonville neighborhood New Year's Eve. Omateo Kasim also faces counts of aggravated battery and aggravated discharge of a firearm. In state court, attorney Thomas DeVore will be in Effingham County today to try and bring back his case that were vacated after the Illinois Supreme Court's August ruling against a separate gun ban challenge.
On Wednesday, the judge is going to have to make a decision on whether he's going to change his mind and put the case back in play in the circuit court so we can do discovery, which is what we're asking, or he's going to deny our request.
DeVore says if the judge denies that request, he'll take that issue to the Illinois Appeals Court. A 2-year-old child and 2 adults are safe. They were rescued from a vehicle that crashed into a pond in Naperville. Police say officers found that SUV partially submerged in that retention pond. 3 police officers jumped in the water, broke windows, and pulled out a child and 2 adults safely. 76ers beat the Bulls 110-97 last night, while the Blackhawks were blanked by Nashville 3-0. Big Ten hoops, Fighting Illini embarrassed Northwestern 96-66. 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. From the Fox Business Network, the latest from Wall Street.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Apple's stock is losing more ground this morning after yesterday's sell-off that followed disappointing comments on the company from analysts at Barclays. They say iPhone 15 sales have been lackluster, and they believe 16 sales will be the same. Ford is recalling more than 100,000 F-150 trucks. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says the rear axle hub bolt could break. Mortgage rates moderated at the end of last year, though the Mortgage Bankers Association says total applications for a mortgage were down more than 9% from before the Christmas holiday. The average for a 30-year fixed rate at the end of the year was 6.76%. That is well below the 8% high of mid-October. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
8:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka knows where the hate is coming from.
Despite the fringe elements, the institution, whether it's the president of Harvard or whether it's, the Democrats walking down with the LGBT for Hamas, the institutionalized Jew hatred is coming almost exclusively from the left in the West.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
What does it feel like to file with TaxSlayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game, facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
All your refund has belonged to me.
Using the power of TaxSlayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
Only the most tax-confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble into a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, not fair. You use TaxSlayer.
Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
As most Americans suffer financially, gold just hit an all-time high. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is why you need a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, text the word SAFEGUARD to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs. Secure your IRA or 401k right now. Text SAFEGUARD to 989898 to request your free info kit right now.
Markets are trembling. Don't be a casualty of economic upheaval. Do what I did and embrace the safety of gold. Talk to the experts at Noble Gold Investments today, and you can claim a free 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin. With gold at an all-time high, you need to jump on this. Just use the promo code GOLD. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com now.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
At Consumer Cellular,
You get the same exact coverage as the largest carriers, but for up to half the cost. Same thing, up to half the cost. Up to half the cost for the same thing. 50% the money for 100% the same thing. I hope I'm making myself clear. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Half the cost savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single-line 5GB data plan with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single-line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plan offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023.
We feel like doing more. Yeah, we're 83 and 84 years old, and we're talking about buying a pontoon boat. What's that tell you? We may say, hey, come out and film us.
I've just been doing great, and I just feel like it's a definite advantage to take them. Well, let me just say one other thing. I mentioned to my doctor that I was taking Balance of Nature, and they said they were very positive about that. And they said that was really good. That's a good product, and so I've been very pleased.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer in the Sean Thompson Show. Subscribe free at 560theanswer.com/podcast. Kennedy inbound 22 O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. 31 as you travel on the outbound flip trip to O'Hare. You're jammed up Lawrence to Harlem. Ike inbound 33 390 to the old post office. Stevenson is fine. The Dan Ryan, typical heavies inbound. Pershing to Roosevelt right now. 15 into the Burn Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
It will be a cloudy day. Our high today at 36. Flurries tonight under partly cloudy skies, low 26, and then sunny tomorrow, the high 35. Clear and cold tomorrow night, low 25, and then a cloudy day for Friday, the high at 37. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
32 at O'Hare, 33 Midway, 32 along the lakefront, and your next news update, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Alpha Wealth Group, bringing the trilogy of estate, tax, and investment planning together. Visit alphawealthgroup.com for a free report.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. You know, I feel like I've missed out. I've never been present when there's been one of these meltdowns that occurs at a gate or on a plane.
Oh, you have?
In the airport. I've never seen one. I've certainly never perpetrated one, and I've never even seen one. And then I see these videos circulating online, and I feel like I'm missing out.
Well, you should travel more. But the problem with public transportation is the public, right?
Apparently. Have you ever? I mean, have you ever perpetrated one or seen one, witnessed one?
No.
Have you ever had to be tied down to your seat with duct tape?
No, Dan, or I haven't, or zip ties, no.
Yeah.
And I haven't been on a plane where that's happened. I mean, I've been on a plane where people have to move seats because of people's weight problem, but we're not going to get into that today.
Have you done that?
Well, no, I had to be moved when I was pregnant, yeah, because I was sitting next to a 400-pound person and a 350-pound person. And I was almost going into labor.
But have you witnessed a freak out?
No, just online, and I watch them all the time, and then
They're
I've watched
fun.
flight attendants freak out, the ones that are transgender now. That it's so weird.
They are fun. Speaking of which, by the way, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, if you want to share one of your meltdown stories, whether it was committed by you or just someone you were witnessing. Speaking of the this trans actor named Tommy Dorfman, who pretends to be a woman, got into a bit of a row with Delta employees about pronoun usage. And this Delta employee, who apparently was happy to be filmed, was having none of it. This is a fun one. This is
hero.
This is, right. This is very even-tempered pushback to nonsense, which is a lesson not just for airline employees.
And what about when a Delta employee misgenders you intentionally?
While he's talking, you're talking.
You just misgendered me again.
Okay.
Multiple times.
Gotcha.
Both of you have.
Sorry. Wasn't intentional, but if you want to take it personal, that's also.
Well, she did do it intentionally twice.
You're talking to me too.
You said she and then you said he.
You're being condescending, and if you want to continue, I have Port Authority escort you out the building right this moment if you want to play that game with me.
Okay.
Would you like to continue 3 days before Christmas? I really don't mind.
I'm good. I'll just put this on.
I mean, talk about putting somebody in their place. I love it. 312-642-5600. Turnkey.pro answer line. You could also reach us on our text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
Now, that was nice dispute resolution by that Delta employee. Unfortunately, that Delta employee wasn't at the American Gate in Charlotte.
Oh, this is bad.
Where Dustin Miller and his partner, Anthony Thorne, I guess husband, he's characterized, they're wearing matching striped sweaters. They're toting around Louis Vuitton bags.
Like, in a way that women don't even. I mean, they're beyond gay. They're like, oh, my God. They got into a little riff.
Miller's an accountant. I mean, see, here's the thing. The danger about these meltdowns is you have a meltdown like this one guy in particular had, and then it spilled into this public spat between the two of them at the gate in front of everybody. And you say some of the things that Dustin Miller, this 42-year-old accountant, said to other passengers or soon-to-be passengers as they're trying to get from Charlotte back home to Wilton Manors, Florida, actually. Then, everybody finds out about who you are. This gets reported and, so we know the names and their professions and where they live and some other things too. But
this guy should be outed because what he did, well, you'll hear it now. It was sickening.
He's a little exasperated with the ticket agent, and it goes off like this.
You're not going to make a fight and see your girls. Remember your girls.
Those are their dogs.
You don't care about the girls? You don't care about the girls. You don't care about the girls. Just hush. You don't care about the girls. Hello, everybody. Justin. American Airlines. It's over. Start. Here we go. Justin, here. I'm not kidding. You don't care about the girls? So I want to tell you about Shelby and Dolly. Shelby and Dolly. Shelby and Dolly. Remember them. I'm going to do it for you. Shelby and Dolly. That's it. Shelby and Dolly. Remember them. Shelby and Dolly. Remember them. I will. I am. I'm just trying to get home to the girls. Really. Look, I have much respect for dogs. Stop it. Stop it!
All right, now the person saying step away was a woman in a wheelchair who had a cane and a service dog, and he was getting too close. The dog was becoming agitated. She said step away, and then he called her the B word. And that's when I would have gone out and just pummeled the guy.
He said F off, bitch, as you heard. And then, as you said, Shelby and Dolly, remember the girls. Anthony was trying to get Dustin to remember the girls. Shelby and Dolly, just trying to get home to the girls. They're two dogs. And by the way, it's likely Shelby and Dolly are named after characters from the movie Steel Magnolias.
Of course they are, Dan. Would you have it any other way, please, Mr. Braun? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. And I love, the first story that we told about the Delta Airlines using the wrong pronouns. Thank God they still have their jobs. Those three people that interacted with that actor.
Kevin, Austin, Texas.
I'm curious on the first one. Was he misgendered or was he Mr. Gendered?
Exactly. Thanks for the call, Kevin. Jack in Whiting, Indiana.
That was a good one. You know, these snowflakes, if they're so offended by what people are going to call them, why don't they just walk around with a name tag? Hello, my name is Pat or Chris or Alex. Just eliminate it all. And I think they just go out of their way just to create a problem for everybody.
Oh, you think? Thanks for the call.
It's all about them. And
You think, Tommy Dorfman, who is not an attractive pretend lady, is trying to draw attention to himself? Oh, you think so? Yeah. Oh, boy, this should be interesting. Dennis in Crystal Lake. I can imagine Dennis being party to a couple of public spectacles at least.
Oh, boy.
Well, I'm not going to brag. But anyways, I've been on both ends, tied up and did well, anyways.
Hold on. You can't wait. You can't say I've been tied up and just sort of gloss over that without telling us the context. So where and why were you tied up?
I was in the VA whack check, and just a guy wanted my coffee. I didn't want to give it to him. So he took it, and then we got in a fight, and then they put you in a straitjacket and put you in a room for 8 hours.
And this occurred, this occurred where?
The VA Heinz, VA Whack Shack.
So you, the Whack Shack. Now I get it. So you were put in a straitjacket for starting a fight at the VA. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, basically.
Please continue.
And then they put you in a room for 8 hours.
Yeah, sure.
With the straitjacket. But anyways, they had a clip you played reminded me of Steve Martin in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles when he was trying to rent a car and that woman was behind there saying gobble gobble and stuff.
Yes.
But,
yes.
My sole thing was on the red line. I'll make this short. 2 young bucks came on. There was an empty seat. An old lady, who knows how old. Moby Dick was a minnow, I think. But anyways, they wouldn't let the lady up. I just asked the guy, "Why don't you let the lady sit down?" And then who are you talking to?
That ain't no
You don't
lady.
give me orders.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, believe me, I don't think it was a lady. But he's calling me out and stuff like that. I got my army jacket on. Who you think you are, old man? And I go, I don't know. I'm just a person who wants to see the old lady, get a little rest. And he says, well, I ain't giving her no rest. So I just grabbed him by the collar and threw him on the floor. And then we fought. I lost, of course, but the lady got a seat.
And where were you put in a straitjacket and sent to after that?
Oh, I wasn't. I was just arrested.
Oh, you're just arrested.
See, I self-check. I self-check myself in 10 days a year just to straighten myself out at the VA.
Where did you serve?
And
thank you for your service, by the way.
I served from my brother served 42 years, from 78 to 2018 or 19, and I served from 79 to 99.
All right, thanks for the call, Dennis. Maybe I'd get a little bit more action if Dennis was my traveling companion.
Wow.
Yeah. Interesting. By the way,
that was a lot to process there.
Great Planes, Trains, and Automobiles referenced by Dennis there. Edie McClurg at the counter with Steve Martin. Yeah, very good.
I never saw the movie.
You never saw Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
No, I'm going to download it, though.
Seriously?
I know. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Deborah in Arlington Heights.
I think I'm speechless because Amy hasn't seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
I know, there's a lot I haven't seen, girlfriend.
I agree.
This was a COVID public meltdown aimed toward me. I was in the shoe department at a store, and there was a lady about 20 feet away from me with a mask on. She goes, I guess we're not following COVID protocols anymore, are we? And I'm like, looking around, I said, are you talking to me? And she goes, yes. And I said, well, if it's any consolation, I'm vaccinated. And she goes, well, I'm not. And I said, well, okay. I said, then I'll move to a different aisle. And she's like, no, have at it. Just have at it. Why don't you just have at it? And she's like, wouldn't let go. I walked away.
Wait. Is this 2023? This recently happened?
This was last year.
Oh.
And then they put you in a straitjacket and put you in what room for how long?
Yeah, no, I didn't get to that point, thankfully.
Oh, good. All right. Thanks for the call.
The problem with masks right now is that people that are actually like they're sick think that masks that they can do things that they would like normally you would stay home if you have a fever, but they think, oh no, I'll just put a mask on and then I'll do my tasks that I need to get done. But it's wrong.
Brian in Lansing.
Morning. I just kind of want to say that this started a long time ago with the women's movement.
Mm-hmm.
How many times did you used to go and say, good morning, ma'am, or a waitress would say, hi, hon, and boom, you got like slammed right in your face and they got so angry. And this is just extrapolating on that, I think, you know?
Yeah, although I think Tommy Dorfman would not mind being called hun. I think it was just the Mr.
Muffin Top.
Thanks for the call,
Got
Brian.
a text message. Amy, would you please change your name to Jacob Woman instead of Jacob Son? It is triggering me.
Of course, this is all leading up to
What?
an installment from our friend Remy over at Reason Magazine.
Oh.
The great Weird Al Yankovic of sort of the libertarian movement, as it were. And he put out an offering over the holidays, and he went, show-tuney on us. These are a few of my favorite things from, the song, right?
The Sound of Music.
Very good.
Phew. I did see that movie, okay?
Written by, who's the song written by?
Oh.
Come on. Think Broadway legends. Rodgers and Hammerstein, that's right.
Hammerstein, sorry.
Yeah. All right, so here's a few of Remy's favorite things, TSA edition.
Okay.
Barking out orders to the lined up masses, patting them down on their chest, groin, and asses. Blue denim packages grabbing your peen. These are a few of my favorite things. Plundering iPads and pocketing 40, acting like I am a suppository. Groping survivors of mastectomies. These are a few of my favorite things. Scanning your schnitzel, your Johnson, your noodle. Saving that data and chain yanking poodles. A penis that shape, oh, it's probably Steve. These are a few of my favorite things. Seeing a man trying to plan a lacrosse jihad. I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. Making you throw away half-empty yoo-hoo. Taking your rights and selling them back to you. Seeing good people lose their dignity. These are a few of my favorite things. They just searched me for 7 minutes in heaven. Their budget's 10 times bigger than post 9/11. In undercover tests, they barely catch a thing. Give us a list of your favorite things. Treating free people like potential muggers. Sure. Patting more children than lonely Josh Duggars. Yeah. Seeing intrusions met with apathy. Seems like a good list of favorite things. Fights against terrorists we have eased up in, but to us you still give blue-gloved cupping. So who do you view as the real enemy? What's your idea for solving these things?
Remy's so good. He's so good. And I encourage you to check out the videos, too, because he produces great music videos to accompany his parody songs. But, yes, a hat tip to TSA, sarcastically, of course, one of the reasons I don't like to travel, actually. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Amy Jacobson and Dan Proft here, and we want to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season.
We're talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor Program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean during this season of economic decline, unemployment, and rising food costs.
Food for the Poor is working with local partners to make sure these children and their families get the food they need to survive. And guess what? Your business can be a part of the solution. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. And thanks to a generous match, that donation will help feed more than 30 children for an entire year.
When you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you.
Call Anjanette Natowski at 847-472-8951. Again, that's 847-472-8951. Or go to 560theanswer.com and click on the Give Food banner.
We feel like doing more. Yeah, we're 83 and 84 years old, and we're talking about buying a pontoon boat. What's that tell you? We may say, hey, come out and film us.
I've just been doing great, and I just feel like it's a definite advantage to take them. Well, let me just say one other thing. I mentioned to my doctor that I was taking Balance of Nature, and they said they were very positive about that. And they said that was really good. That's a good product, and so I've been very pleased.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. The Biden administration, European leaders, and the UN want Israel to halt its operations in Gaza. Few among these supposed allies grasp how Hamas's October 7 massacres changed all of the calculations for Israel and its mission to defend its Jewish homeland. The Israelis, however, have not miscalculated this moment. This week, they delivered on Benjamin Netanyahu's promise to destroy Hamas to the last man in a drone strike on the group's Beirut offices. The strike killed Ismail Haniyeh's chief deputy, Saleh al-Aruri, along with 5 others in the Hamas office. This followed an absurd set of demands from Haniyeh regarding hostage negotiations that demanded thousands of prisoners released as well as an IDF withdrawal from Gaza. This sends a direct message to Hamas that their time has run out. It should also send a message to the Biden administration about the folly of deals with terrorists spent on genocide. The Israelis will no longer play by Hamas's rules or Biden's. I'm Ed Morrissey.
We live in a high-tech world, yet nature is so complex that it's impossible for humans to even come close to duplicating it with all the technology in the world. Witness the spectacular things we see in nature and how they should inform one's faith in the latest book by Jeff Tischler, High Tech versus the Highest Tech. This 78-page paperback book is a must-read, packed with fascinating facts and colorful illustrations, laying out undeniable evidence for intelligent design and an all-powerful creator. And High Tech versus the Highest Tech is written in a way that all age groups can understand and enjoy. Get the book High Tech versus the Highest Tech by Jeff Tischler, offered through Milk and Honey Ministries for just $9.95, plus shipping and handling, with 100% of the proceeds going to missions. And for a limited time, $1 from each book sold goes directly to Food for the Poor. Order your copy today. Call toll-free 1-800-733-9262. Also available from Google Books or your favorite online bookseller. Special rates available for schools, churches, and mission outreach.
Imagine what your future looks like. Is the picture a little blurry? Hey, it's Sean Thompson here for Alpha Wealth Group. When we look ahead, we're visualizing where we want to be, and for retirement, that can be hard without a written financial plan. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help you bring your retirement picture into focus. For decades, Tom has been crafting customized financial strategies. His goal is to help you protect your savings, grow your wealth, and create an income strategy you cannot outlive. If you're nearing or already in retirement, it's time to get your plan on paper. So bring your readers and let's take a look at it closely. Call Tom at 630-934-1855 and schedule a complimentary retirement consultation. There is no cost, there is no obligation. This is a chance to get a clearer view of your retirement. The number again is 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
AM 560, The Answer.
Boy, I just looked at a picture of Tommy Dorfman. Oh, my goodness.
Handsome woman, huh?
Oh, large hands. Ooh, all right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, Wisconsin Republican Congressman Brian Stile is part of the congressional delegation making its way to Eagle Pass, Texas today. We'll get a report from him on the ground there at 8:38.
Can't wait, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
8:32, outside 32 degrees and gray skies. Two explosions minutes apart today in Iran targeted a commemoration for a prominent general slain in a U.S. drone strike back in 2020. Iran now says at least 103 were killed, 141 were wounded. Investigators are focusing on communication between air traffic control and two aircraft at the Tokyo airport after a large passenger plane and a Japanese Coast Guard aircraft collided on the runway, killing 5 Coast Guardsmen. Japanese rescue workers in canine units are urgently searching through rubble ahead of predicted bitter cold and heavy rain, what the prime minister of that country called a race against time after powerful earthquakes have killed at least 73. Former President Donald Trump has filed an appeal in an attempt to get his name back on Maine's presidential primary ballot. Harvard University President Claudine Gay is resigning, announcing her decision yesterday to the Harvard community. Chicago firefighter is charged with attempted murder in a shooting in the Andersonville neighborhood on New Year's Eve. Omateo Kasim also faces charges of aggravated battery and aggravated discharge of a firearm. The city of Rockford saw over 350 migrants arrive on New Year's Eve. Those who arrived were ushered onto buses sent to the city of Chicago for shelter and service. State Senator Andrew Chesney says it's all due in part to failed Democrat policies.
And that policy is being endorsed by extreme Democrats and J.B. Pritzker, and they've doubled down on this issue, and now you're seeing the direct consequence in all of our communities.
Hinsdale, Woodstock, Buffalo Grove, and Joliet also took some official action in response to the growing migrant crisis in the suburbs. A Dalton woman is facing charges following a New Year's Eve crash involving a state police squad car in Cook County. Elizabeth Williams was driving Sunday night when she slammed into the back of that squad car of a trooper performing a traffic stop on the I-57 northbound entrance ramp from Halstead Street. Chicago sports. Bulls lost to the 76ers 110-97. Blackhawks lost to Nashville 3-0. And in college hoops, Fighting Illini took down Northwestern 96-66 in Champaign. It's 8:34. Time to call Permaseal 800-421-SEAL. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees the other side running scared.
These are a paranoid group of people. You do not pass laws preventing things that Trump can or cannot do, like leaving NATO, if you aren't legitimately afraid that he could become president. This is the best piece of evidence that I have seen that it's not just a game for Democrats.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
You can make the decision right now to get lasting relief from that awful joint pain for 2024. Don't go another year compromising because of that pain in your knees or shoulder. Call QC Kinetics now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative non-surgical pain relief. You know, your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue, and QC Kinetics can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. The future of pain treatment has arrived. Hundreds of board-certified QC Kinetics providers have treated tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People with back pain, hip pain, any pain associated with arthritis or an injury. This is not a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again. So get your life back. And listen,
incision. It's non-surgical, so if this is the year you decide to fight back against that pain, take the first step now. Call QC Kinetics. Get a free consultation on the calendar today. Call 312-809-5955.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by IDT. Eliminate paper files with the IoT Smart Connected Scanning Device. Find them at ready4IDT.com.
It is 8:37. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. 30 minutes and climbing now on the inbound Kennedy from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Inbound jammed up with brake lights Kimball to Lake. Earlier accident has the express lanes jammed up inbound between Addison and Damon. Stevenson inbound 30 minutes into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Jammed up Ashland into the Ryan Merge. DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Delays northbound between Bryn Mawr and Hollywood. The Tri-State jammed in the locals between the Reagan and the Ike. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Skies will be cloudy today. A few light snow flurries expected later in the day. High 36 and flurries overnight with a low of 26. 32 at O'Hare, 33 at Midway, 31 in Aurora, and your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Karine Jean-Pierre has returned from her respite, and we're so happy to have the White House spokeswoman back. And on camera, fielding softballs from CNN, so that she can offer the big guys talking points on things like border security, which she dutifully did yesterday with the same blame rap that you heard in 2023.
So here's my response. It is shameful that a Republican governor, Governor Abbott in Texas, is using migrants as a political stunt. That's what he's been doing.
So you're referring to the busing of migrants to northern cities?
Absolutely. And the busing of migrants, the putting them on flights, it is shameful that that is occurring. And instead of, if the governor really, truly wants to deal with this issue, he should talk to the senators in his state and actually ask them to work with us. Look, what we're seeing right now is negotiations happening on the Senate side to talk about how do we come up with a bipartisan agreement to deal with border security. There's a reason why the president put that in his emergency ask, right, in the National Security Supplemental ask, because he thought it was incredibly important. In a couple of weeks, we're about to hit 3 years since the president put forward an immigration comprehensive legislation, put that forward to Congress. Nothing was done on it. We believe a very productive conversation in Congress with senators on how do we move forward in a bipartisan agreement to deal with the border security. That is important. Now, what we hope is that when Congress gets back, we'll be able to act and get these things moving forward so we can deal with this issue.
Comprehensive immigration reform, right? That's the same old playbook, the same old blame rap from, these recalcitrant Republicans, and we want to do things in a bipartisan way. We have to have comprehensive immigration reform in order to do anything. So we do everything or we do nothing. There's no in between, which is their way of forestalling having to do anything. I mean, it's just a exercise in finger pointing. There is no real interest in changing policy, because if there were, the president could do it unilaterally. If there were an issue, if there were any interest in stemming the tide of illegal immigrants flowing into this country, the president could do it unilaterally. He doesn't want to. Simple as that. For more on all this, we're pleased to be joined by Brian Stile. Of course, he's a congressman from just north of the Cheddar Curtain in Kenosha, 1st District of Wisconsin, and he is down at the border, part of the congressional delegation visiting Eagle Pass, Texas, to see what's happening on the ground there. Brian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. We are on the way right now down to Eagle Pass and the U.S.-Mexico border, where it's really ground zero of the disastrous policies of this Biden administration.
But, I saw a tweet from Speaker Johnson, Mike Johnson, Eagle Pass over the last, several days and weeks and months that has been well documented by Bill Benlugan at Fox News and others. A lot of citizen journalists down there, too, speaking to migrants and so forth. And then the picture that he juxtaposed those pictures to, Speaker Johnson did, was a picture of an empty field where it seems like Border Patrol has been told, because members of Congress are coming down, clear the area and put them somewhere else.
Well, we spoke last night to members of the U.S. Border Patrol on this exact topic. And what it shows you is that there are policies that matter that can turn the spigot on and off. And so what we need to do is actually force this administration to turn the spigot off for good. And you do that by core changes in policies, ending catch and release. You got to end the exploitation of the parole authority. You got to reinstate Remain in Mexico. You got to allow expedited removal of illegal immigrants who come across the border, and you got to immediately start reconstruction of the border wall. And so what we continue to see is the Biden administration playing games, kind of pulling away at the football like Lucy would do. And what we need to do is instead, once and for all, secure the border. There's policies that can do that. And the fact that this administration got everybody cleared out of Eagle Pass before members of Congress came down prove that policies matter, and there is a path to secure the border. It's just the administration refuses to do it.
Well, it's just so comical. I mean, who do they think they're fooling? I mean, it's like we've been watching this for weeks on end. We know what the numbers are. ICE just released its fiscal year 2023 report that we're topping 6 million people in this country illegally, doubling the number that was documented under the previous president. And they move a few hundred or a few thousand or redirect them to another entry point along the southern border, and there's no problem here. That's what we're supposed to conclude.
Well, no, exactly right. But what it proves, if anything, is that policies matter, and when you put in place policies to secure the border, you can actually do it. And so what clearly occurred is they cleared out a huge number of individuals at Eagle Pass. And again, we saw as recently as just a couple of days ago, 355 illegal immigrants fly from San Antonio, which is about 2 hours north of Eagle Pass, fly to the Rockford International Airport, about 20 miles south of Beloit, Wisconsin, where my congressional district is. This is an issue that actually has a solution. It's going to be forcing the administration to implement the policies to actually truly secure the border.
Well, what do you hope to accomplish by going down there with you and the other congressional members?
Well, I think you got two things at the same time. One, I've been down to the border before. This is not my first trip, but it's another opportunity to have conversations with those men and women who are actually on the front lines, the men and women of the Border Patrol, as well as local sheriffs who are doing more and more of the work. The second is to bring the attention of the American people to understand how significant the problems are at the border, why the policies of this administration are disastrous. And as we all know, it's not just impacting states like Texas, it's impacting Illinois, Wisconsin, and cities and communities all across the country. And so at the end of the day, the goal here is to focus the national attention on this issue so we can force the Biden administration to change course and truly secure the border.
How do you and House Republicans respond to Karine Jean-Pierre's latest iteration of the blame game and the whole we got to come together and get bipartisan agreement on comprehensive immigration reform? You know, these phrases that have been thrown around literally for generations that don't really mean anything. Certainly don't mean anything specific, which is part of the point. And you know, these productive conversations the White House is allegedly engaged in with members of the Senate. What's your handle on all of that, and how House Republicans are going to treat what you're hearing from the White House?
Well, I think what should be pretty clear to people is that we need to first and foremost solve the broken security problem at the U.S.-Mexico border before we even begin a conversation on broader immigration reform. And to do that, the House Republicans passed what we call H.R. 2. It's our comprehensive immigration reform package that truly allows us to secure the border. And again, it's policies such as ending catch and release. You got to end the exploitation of our parole system. You got to re-implement a Remain in Mexico policy. You got to expedite removal of individuals who illegally enter the United States. The administration wants everybody to focus on anything but the policies that will actually truly secure the border. House Republicans passed now over 6 months ago H.R. 2, our bill that truly secures the border. Senators like Chuck Schumer in particular are refusing to bring that legislation forward, and we need to put pressure and get the American people to understand that this bill should be moving through the Senate and signed by the president so we can force the president's hand to secure the border, because the president is more than happy to have 300,000 illegal immigrants a month coming into the United States. It's the reason he continues the reckless policies that he does.
And they're doing this to build their base, though, right? To sign up more people as Democrats eventually?
I mean, it's hard to figure out what this administration is even trying to do, but at the end of the day, they are completely looking the other way as thousands and thousands of individuals come across the border. This is human trafficking. This impacts drug and fentanyl trafficking, and it's a disastrous policy for them to have.
And House Republicans are not going to be bought off with money under the guise of more resources to the border, which is what Biden's trying to sell?
Well, this is why we put forward H.R. 2. I mean, you do need to dramatically begin construction of the border wall. You need to fund Border Patrol. But it's also underlying policies like ending catch and release, actually having a parole system that works, meaning you don't just parole everyone across the board. You put in place a Remain in Mexico policy, telling people that want to have an asylum claim reviewed to stay in your home country while that is being reviewed. And so it is not just money to secure the border. That's a piece of it. But you also have to change the underlying policies that relates to asylum to truly be successful in securing the border.
But here's the thing. So, I mean, you know, all this putting pressure on and prompting the administration to act or the Senate to act consistent with what House Republicans have outlined. You know, what is the House Republican caucus willing to do to force this action? And I know I've put this to you before, but I'll put it to you again because it seems to me it has to be part of the conversation. Are you willing to say we will not fund anything? We have the power of the purse. We are not supporting funding for any aspect of government until this is addressed, until the border policy changes that you outlined are implemented so that we stem the tide and we then buy the space to have the larger conversation about what everybody thinks constitutes comprehensive immigration reform. Are you willing to turn off the spigot in order to force this a national moment, frankly, on this issue?
The power of the purse is about the one leverage point we have against the Biden administration. We're going to come up against another deadline where funding will lapse in about 2 weeks. This is our opportunity to focus the national attention on the issue, to force the Biden administration to change course. We've been pretty clear in the House that we need to see that before we move forward with funding. Speaker Johnson bringing over 50 members of Congress to the border to focus our attention on this issue, I think puts that front and center.
Brian Stile, Republican congressman from Wisconsin's First. They're in the Kenosha area. Brian, thanks as always, and we look forward to hearing what you see while you're down there in Eagle Pass. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Mark Curran. For over 30 years as a prosecutor and a sheriff, I've spent my entire career fighting for the injured and most vulnerable. And I continue those efforts now as a trial lawyer. Many of the lawyers I face in the courtroom today are on the side of the abortion industry, as well as many other intrinsic evils. Martindale-Hubbell, the agency that rates attorneys, has given me the highest rating for both ethics and ability. I'm a former county, state, and federal prosecutor, as well as a 3-term sheriff. I'm also the host of the popular program Cross-Examination on Catholic Radio. If you want a trial lawyer with the highest credentials and ability who will not support the evil agenda destroying America, then call me at 847-721-3189 or go to markcurranlaw.com. That's Mark Curran, C-U-R-R-A-N, law.com.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
We feel like doing more. Yeah, we're 83 and 84 years old, and we're talking about buying a pontoon boat. What's that tell you? We may say, hey, come out and film us.
I've just been doing great, and I just feel like it's a definite advantage to take them. Well, let me just say one other thing. I mentioned to my doctor that I was taking Balance of Nature, and they said they were very positive about that. And they said that was really good. That's a good product. And so I've been very pleased.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
What does it feel like to file with TaxSlayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game, facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
All your refund is belong to me.
Using the power of TaxSlayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
Only the most tax-confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble into a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, not fair. You use TaxSlayer.
Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
As most Americans suffer financially, gold just hit an all-time high. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is why you need a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, text the word SAFEGUARD to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs. Secure your IRA or 401k right now. Text SAFEGUARD to 989898 to request your free info kit right now.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. A storm is on the horizon. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for storms and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000, 630-834-6000, or charlesequipment.com.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, any New Year's resolutions? I know it's sort of a prosaic thing, but anything you'd like to share?
No, you're scaring me. Why are you
personal? You didn't reflect on anything over the holiday? Anything you could improve on to be to build back a better Amy in 2024?
Well, I want you to know I was compliant, and if that Illinois State Trooper who pulled me over yesterday is listening, how are you? I got my plate tag renewed, and I fixed my left headlight, so I'm compliant. And I don't know. I mean, I guess organize my time a little bit better. What about you?
I'm making a significant change in the way I approach the game of golf.
Oh, good. What are you going to do?
I'm going to play the game the way
backwards?
that two-time majors champion, two-time major champion John Daly plays the game. Back in his heyday, when he was winning those majors.
Drink and smoke cigars more? Wait, what?
How often would you play professional golf hungover back in the day?
A lot. I shot some really good numbers.
Did you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I wasn't drinking on tour, but there was some times on tour that I didn't sober up to about the 13th hole, 13th or 14th hole.
So you were basically drunk when you were playing?
Oh. Yeah, you get in at 7:30 in the morning. I got a tee time at 8:05 or 9 o'clock.
Exactly.
You know.
You'd be out till
sometimes
7 or 7:30 in the morning when you had an 8 a.m. tee time?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I'm a little groggy some mornings, just know that I'm preparing for the golf game that comes after the show.
All right. Thanks so much to Justin Kosick, Quinn McCarthy. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning. Today, it's going to be cloudy, a high of 36. It's 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
The southern border is a disaster. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. House Speaker Mike Johnson